We are back. Regularly scheduled program.
Yes, Mondays now.
Mondays
What's the
now.
deal with that?
Yeah, we got practices the other days.
I know.
Fish
Well,
practices.
I like this Monday schedule. Let me lower this just a little bit. We need to make sure that the Friedman Adventures thing is in there.
Oh, it's going, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sam, good to see you.
Good to see
Bob
you, Joe.
Giffords in our studio
Bob.
audience. Bob took me out for a cup of coffee today. We had a good time. We actually didn't get to talk that much because I got 571 phone calls, as he will attest to. At least Scott Buchert was on a roll. But Scott treated us to dinner already.
He did.
So we don't have to beg anybody for dinner, do we? Normally, please, will you send us something? Hey, it's great to be here with you all. Tackle Shop Confessions on the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. That look good to you?
No, went the wrong way.
All right. But
No,
I'm
not
going
you. Not you. It's your sign.
Oh, the sign or what?
Yeah, I just moved it back.
All right, Sam's got this thing organized. Oh, I like mine too. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if I need this thing. Anyway, hey, it's good to be with you. Man, there is some incredible fishing going on. There's all kinds of comments already. We'll get into that in one moment. But, Sam, it's great to see you. And I enjoyed last week's show because you delved into Cedros Island and all the great fishing opportunities there. And that was great. Good stuff. This week, however, we got big eye tuna up in Fort Bragg, along with tons of albacore. I talked to CJ last night, the guy that caught this one that taped out to 292 or whatever it was.
Crazy.
It's incredible. Tom Holland tells me that the state record was caught, I think, on the Challenger. Shoot, I forget. He just told me. By Captain Rick Podolak, who's a friend of mine. I haven't seen Rick for a long, long time. Rick actually ran a trip to San Clemente Island for the Bishop Montgomery High School Fishing Club when I was the moderator of that club.
Oh, cool.
So, I mean, we went on an overnight trip to Clemente, and that was a lot of fun. So we've got that going on. We got bluefin tuna. We got yellowfin tuna. We've got outstanding surf fishing going on. We're going to start doing some surf fishing tournaments here pretty soon, right?
Yep.
We don't know when or anything else, but
I don't think it's going to happen.
yeah, it's going to happen. You know, it's just another thing to do. Another reason to lose more hair.
I'll be here at 5 a.m. again to sign one.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So a lot of great stuff going on. How about I just kind of read some comments real quick and then we'll jump in. Yeah, Travis Bright says, hello, guys. Travis, I will see you Wednesday night. We have a 2-day trip on the Amigo this Wednesday night.
Nice.
Tell me that's not going to be a great
you
trip.
guys are part of perfect.
I know. It really sounds good. Dan Smith. Dan, it's so good to see you. Give my best to Kim. Hello, Phil, Sam, all the great folks at the Friedman Adventures family. A big hello to all you fine folks watching for the first time. You're so right. Got my coffee and pen and paper. Always so much good stuff to learn about. Ernie Montano. Hi, Sam and Phil. Thank you. Thank you, Ernie, for joining us tonight. Jaime Fernandez Jr., happy Monday. Is it Monday? I thought it was Tuesday.
I know, huh?
Yeah, really.
I know you asked.
Phil, what do you recommend? This is a question for Sam. Phil, you know, he's not. He's Sam, I'd take Sam's word.
Well, what do you say, Phil?
Hold on. Let me read the question. Recommend Penn Torque 25N or Fathom 25N 2-speed reel for fly lining 30 to 50 pound fluoro. I would go with that 2-speed. Jaime, because it gives you that extra pulling power when you get that fish to color. You want to put the screws to it. You can go in to that second gear and put the screws. Now, how's that for an answer? Am I totally wrong?
Although he might be asking whether we go with the Torque 25 narrow 2-speed or the Fathom 25 narrow 2-speed. They don't make the 25 narrow in the Torque anymore. That was a Star Drive reel they made before. But I'm assuming he's maybe asking, you know, kind of what's the difference between the Torque and the Fathom. So those reels there, the primary difference is one is a U.S. made reel and one's an overseas made reel, and the price is crazy. You know, the U.S. made reel is a little over $600, which is on par with all the premium reels out there, and the Fathom is about half that price. It's right around $310.
Wow.
And so, you know, it's a real common question is, you know, which one's better or why should I pay that much more money? And to be honest with you, Jaime, I mean, at this point now, I would say from what I've seen over the years of selling both of those reels, they're both great performers. They both have done so well in our Southern California market, especially that 25 narrow, which is such a versatile reel. You can fish it from, let's say, 25 to even 50-pound test, which is kind of what you're talking about. and they've both done really, really well. The biggest difference being if you're the kind of guy who kind of prefers an American-made reel, then you're going to want the Torque. And if you're a guy who just wants the best value, which I think that's what most guys are gonna go for, so that's why we sell so many more of those, you go with the Fathom. But they both performed really, really well.
You see me moving my computer around?
Yeah.
People are like, what the hell is he doing tonight? I don't know. I have no idea.
Off today, yeah.
A little off
Yeah.
today. A little off every day.
More than normal.
Christopher Martinez. Hi, guys. Jeff Yeomans, 540 Slinger. Good evening, Phil and Sam. Jeff, always great to see you. Cue Ball is here with us. Emmanuel Navedo from Florida.
Cool.
So good to see you. Tyler Tanaka, throwing off my whole week with a Monday live stream. Sorry, Tyler. We didn't mean to do that to you, man. Good to have you here as always. Tim Marquez. Good to see you guys, Sam and Phil. Tim Marquez, really, well, he bought us dinner last week. Remember?
Yep.
We had a great dinner.
That was awesome.
And
Yeah.
Tim came through on the raffles to help our efforts in Mexico. But he also went on the freelance last week, and his cousin has been ill for a long time. And he finally was to the point where Tim thought, okay, let's go. And they went tuna fishing. So they hooked 70 fish on this trip. Tim will tell you. And the whoever, Shine Down, and his cousin got a bluefin tuna.
That's a full day trip, huh?
Yeah, full day
Wow,
trip. Yeah,
man,
that's
that's
pretty good,
awesome.
right?
That's awesome.
They ended up with 20 on the boat. And of course,
Jeez.
Tim's cousin got one. So that was great. Ernie Montano is here. He says, just signed up for the 5-day Indy trip in October 20th. Ernie, that's such great news, man. I can't wait to be shooting you catching a really big fish. That is October the 20th. Love that boat. I raised my son on that great fishing vessel. That is outstanding. And if you'd like to join us, we still have some room on that trip. It goes October the 20th, and it's a 5-day trip. It's $2,250. You can sign up at independentsportfishing.com. And, man, we would love to see you on board. Have you fished on the Independence?
Yeah.
How was it?
Awesome boat. I mean, huge. Everything about it is big. The rooms are big. The galley's big. The showers are big. The fishing area is big. The tackle racks are big. I mean, everything about that boat is just bigger. So it's a pretty awesome vessel.
Yeah, I can't wait. Ernie, thank you so much. We'll see you on board, and hopefully we'll see a few more of you. Like this guy sitting out here, Bob Gifford, might jump on board. Cue Ball got a 2-day on the El Dorado on the 28th.
Yeah.
Can't get here quick enough. Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic trip. The fishing right now is off. And David Rosenthal. David, good to see you, my friend. He's saying good evening, Sam. Omar, a big hello from Nancy and I. Glad to see you guys as always. Omar, it's great to see you again right here. Sniper Gene. Hey, Sam, what's changed with the Avid Raptor Plus compared to the original Raptor?
I haven't put my hands on it yet, and I'm going to sound a little bit off here, but I just haven't seen enough on it. I think that they've lightened the body a little bit. It's probably been the biggest difference. And I think they put a different gear ratio in one of the sizes. You know what? But I'll have to get more on it and get you guys maybe back next week. So that'll be one that I'll have to put on my list of things to get for next week. Maybe I can get a couple ordered in and we can kind of show them off here.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great.
I know they've been improved in a few ways. And it's kind of awesome too because Avid really hasn't changed their reels hardly at all. Since they first came out. They did come out with the G2 series and they made a few changes there, kind of more inline cosmetic changes. But this Raptor Plus is supposed to be something that they're really looking forward to taking them to the next level. And so I'm really glad that they did that too. And from what I see, their pricing has stayed the same, whereas everything else has kind of gone up. Whenever a new reel comes out, it looks like it's always goes up in price by a bunch of money. It looks like with this one they've kept it relatively the same. So I'll try to do my best to get you guys a sample of one to show off and maybe some more talking points on it for next week.
Perfect, Sam. Robert Slager says, give Phil some love. Only 13 likes. Hit that like button. We're up to 20. Robert, let me explain to you. Whenever Sam's on the show, the likes are hard to come by. I don't understand. I'm not sure if there's really a correlation there or not. But you just...
Nobody likes me. Yeah, that's what it is.
I Soto. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Everybody smashing the like button now. Really appreciate that. Steve Bermudez. What color of picture frame for the Hunter Biden photo. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah, that's. Do you think I went overboard? And my wife's angry with me, but when you see a work of art like that,
Can't resist yourself.
right? I'm a
Yeah.
Three Stooges fan, so I could not resist. And if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a short up on Friedman Adventures. It's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. You should check it out because it's beautiful, isn't it?
I
Brings
saw it.
Does it bring a tear of something to your eye?
It's something.
Daniel Llanos, good to see Phil and Sam. Thank you for your service. Hey, thank you so much for being there. I'm going on a 2.5-day trip this Tuesday, looking forward and catching whatever God provides. That's a good way to look at it. Geez, I mean, it's just like a slam dunk that you're going to get limits of tuna. So let's talk. The most recent thing, I talked to Jacob Barclay. He ran the Pegasus. Talked to him about 4 this morning. He said we had a few 20 to 40 pounders, mostly 50 to 100 pounders. They were just almost at limits. He says it is freaking good right now. You look over at the Fortune. I think they were on a 2-day trip. They had fished at 280 pounds, bluefin tuna. Several other guys had big fish. Sometimes you're in that smaller grade, sometimes you're in that bigger. I just mentioned the freelance with fish up in the Channel Islands. Those guys up there yesterday had from, let's say, 1 to 5 bluefin tuna up in Fort Bragg. I mean, when you think about the stretch of fish,
That's a lot of area.
God almighty.
Yeah.
And there's places in between that nobody's looking at
Right.
that's corroded with albacore, bluefin, or yellowfin or
Especially
something, right?
albacore.
Especially that.
Well, there's only so many boats. I mean, there's only
Right.
so many boats, so you're only looking at so much at one time. So when we see the reports, it really is only a snapshot of what's going on. This bluefin is just insane.
It totally is, man. It's really incredible stuff that's going on. All right, let's see. Tim Marquez, I'm booked, excuse me, on a 3-day trip on the Nulo 925 through the 28th during the full moon. What's your opinion on fishing during a full moon? I hear good and bad. Sam?
Sometimes it's good and sometimes it isn't.
That's probably why Tim is hearing good and
Yeah.
bad.
You know, sometimes I will say this: it seems like at times it'll appear to follow certain trends. You know, dark of the moon, or a week before the moon, full moon, or week after the full moon. But typically doesn't follow that forever and ever. It isn't like there's been a time ever that I've seen where they haven't caught fish, and you could say, well, they've never caught fish on this moon cycle or this part of the moon cycle. I've never heard of that or never witnessed anything like that. But there does seem to be at times where they're biting more on one part of it, but it's not
Right.
consistent all the time. That seems to kind of change. So that being said, I don't think that that's something that we can really put a whole lot of weight on. I mean, it's going to be other conditions like maybe wind or things like that may not allow you to even fish certain areas, things like that, or maybe the bait just moves on too. Those fish, especially big tuna, they need to eat a lot, and so the primary thing that's going to keep them there is going to be the food. I know Danny Kadota talks about all the time. That if the food's there, the fish are going to be there, the tuna's going to be there. So more than anything, that food kind of keeps them on certain high spots at the Tanner or places like that. So I wouldn't get too caught up on the moon phase thing. Get out there, have a good time. I'm sure you're going to catch a bunch of fish.
All right, sounds good, Tim. And of course, we wish you the very, very best of luck as always. Cue Ball says, Blue Moon, oops. Who gave a really good answer to that was Tucker McCombs up there on the Endeavor. And I've completely forgot what the answer was.
But it was
But
good.
it's on a short.
But it's really good.
I'll have to go back and listen so I can learn again. But he gave a really good answer. So if you can go back and find Tucker McCombs short, I'll try to post that. Maybe not this evening, probably tomorrow morning, or include it in the morning briefing for you all. Sifka says, what's up, Sam and Phil? I have a 1.5-day trip on the Freedom next week, next Wednesday. What tackle setup should I bring? I'm thinking you should bring the kitchen sink, Sifa, but what do you think?
Yeah, just about everything right now is in play, Those 1.5-day trips, I think they're going to be mostly targeting those offshore banks, especially if weather allows. That's where most of those big fish are being caught. But also some of that fish is being caught right behind San Clemente, and sometimes depending on whether that place is open or not. Sometimes you can go there, camp on the spot, and feel like, okay, we're set up good. And then all of a sudden you get the phone call, and they're like, hey, guys, you guys got to move. We got to do some maneuvers or whatever. And so be prepared to do anything. You guys might be set up good and thinking, okay, we're going to be fishing this area. And then maybe the closure or something like that might come along and force you guys to fish somewhere else and target something else. Maybe some kelp patty fish or something like that. So on a trip like that right now, you'd be taking everything from 20-pound to 100-pound and everything in between.
All right, and of course, we wish you the very, very best of luck. Hope you have a really great trip. Sniper Gene, Sam, is the difference between the Shimano Trinidad 1620 and 30 mainly spool width, size?
That's the only difference. The only difference is the width. So basically, they hold more line as the number gets bigger. But everything on the right side, the gear side, is identical on all three reels.
All right, Steve Bermudez is disparaging someone, calling them damn drunks.
Somebody.
Who's that, do you think?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Omar, Sam, do you have a recommendation for a budget jig stick to fish 30 or 40-pound line throwing the iron?
I mean, depends on what your budget is, but as far as a jig stick, the traditional jig stick is going to be a 9 and 10 foot rod, glass rod or something that has that type of action. And we usually look to the Seeker, the United Composites, the CalStar, and those are going to be definitely on the higher side as far as your budget. But there's a lot of rods out there that you can get into with the length, especially, that's going to maybe help you out a little bit with maybe something coming out of Phoenix. Phoenix rods, they have a few rods that are good. We just got in a couple rods from Taipan. I know we were showing those rods off the other day, but they're rods, they're jig sticks that they have, and those are pretty reasonable too, especially for an American-made rod. But the other thing to remember is that, Omar, the rod doesn't always have to be like your 90J or, the rods that we always talk about, I mean, those rods are the ones you kind of want, but that is going to have to extend your budget out to maybe $400 or more. And to get something in that lower price range, you can probably just fish with an 8-foot rod. Sometimes an 8-foot rod is overlooked quite a bit as a jig stick, but growing up, I mean, an 8-foot rod, a lot of people use that as a jig stick. Only a few guys were using those long rods.
Right.
Most guys were using an 8-foot rod, and that was considered kind of a long rod back then. That's kind of where that category would start, 8 to 10 foot. Now it's like 9 to 10 foot, so anything shorter is regarded as a more of a live bait rod. But there's plenty of 8-foot rods from all the brands, whether it be Phoenix rods or Daiwa, Shimano. They all have those like between $200 and $300 rods. That would work just fine. It's not going to be the ideal holy grail of jig sticks, but something that could definitely get you into that.
All right, perfect. Good answer. Thank you so much. Dan Bates, how has Eddie Leland been? Dan, God bless you for asking about Eddie. Let's put it this way. He really, really, really could use your thoughts and your prayers and all of your love right now. Eddie's in a really serious battle at this point, and he's still, every time I go by there, you know what he wants to talk about? He wants to talk about fishing. So we spent a great deal of time talking about fishing. I need to get over there, maybe mañana. In fact, I will definitely drop by there tomorrow because I'll be on the Amigo for a couple of days. So, Dan, thanks so much. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers, everybody. All of you have been fantastic. Sam and Bob and everybody. It's tough, man. It's tough. Really tough. But God bless you for asking. That's for sure. Christopher Navarro, Sam, and Sam, I am. I like that. I'm going on a day and a half trip on the Oceanside 95 with Rick Slofkin. He didn't say that, but this weekend. I've seen night knife jigs rigged in many ways. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. This is a family show. Be careful there. Jobu hook on the bottom with 2 assists on top. So what do you say? By the way, Jacob on the Pegasus said, don't ask me why, but the vast, vast, vast majority of fish we caught had red in the jig. It was a red colored jig. So I don't know if that was just last night or what it was, but that's his observation.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
As far as the color, yeah, we've been selling a lot of those in the red. There's different brands that have them. As far as the hook positioning, I think we've gone around and around as far as the industry as to what works better, things like that. One of the things that we have seen happen on a lot of boats, and at first we kind of looked at it as like, oh man, that kind of sucks. But some of the boats were really, really, really making sure that you had both of the hooks on either end, whether it be on top or a bottom. The reason being is that when they gaff a big fish, and right now we're kind of in that time where we're getting a lot of big fish, is that when they gaff a big fish and got to bring it over the rail, because of the weight of the fish, they're really having to push themselves up against the rail to have leverage to lift that thing up and over the rail. And if that fish has only one of those hooks in it and the other hook is kind of flying around, well, it's dangerous basically, and that hook can come around with a 150-pound tuna attached to it, and if it snags anything on you, man, it's going to be a big hurt. So some of the boats were kind of like, outlined, putting the hooks on top and bottom for that same reason, is that, and I bet you that was because either one of them or one of their buddies got hurt. I haven't heard about it too much lately, but from what I've seen, I haven't really seen it really affect it too much in any way as to hooking a fish and keeping a fish on your jig. So to me, I would just put two on the same side, and I don't really think it matters which side you put them on. In fact, one of the things that I found interesting is when I was down at Cedros, is I was fishing a knife jig for those yellowtail, and I had one single hook, assist hook, on top, and we hooked them just fine. And in fact, I'll say this, I think out of like 50 fish that we hooked on that jig, was me and a couple people using the same jig. I only remember one fish coming off out of all those. So to me, as far as that's concerned, I don't think that you really have any kind of concern or worry, those fish coming off if you only have them on one side of the jig. So keep it on one side. Talk to the crew member when you get down there, see what they feel. And maybe they feel the fish are biting different that during that week. Maybe they're not as aggressive, and they might suggest, you might want to do one on top and one on bottom, and we'll just kind of be more careful. But talk to the crew and make sure that they're okay with whatever you're doing. And that's one of the things with the knife jigs, is that you can kind of switch them up. You're not stuck with them, like you're not welding them on like a Jobu hook. So keep yourself a little bit, able to do it different ways.
Great question, Christopher Isoto. Has anyone heard of a Pacific Hawk Ocean Tech rods? I found one, 8'6", 2-piece, and rebuilt it, rated 15 to 40, but not sure if it will hold up as a 30-pound rod.
I'm not sure about that rod, man. I mean, could be one of those older Fenwick rods or something like that, but I'm not sure.
All right, we'll look into it. How's that sound, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe not.
Go for it.
Steve, here it is. Steve loves the new day for you. He likes Monday. Even though we're up competing against Monday Night Football, we're still kicking butt. I don't know. Yeah, hey, put it on quick. Yeah. DJ B, glad to be here live after a few weeks away. It's good to see you back. Congratulations, Phil, on 11K subscribers. I owe that all to you. Everybody out there, thank you so very much. I owe it to Sam for this great show. It's been a family effort, all of us together. Really, really appreciate it. Christopher Navarro, what's your go-to with knife hooks, and why?
So there's two basic theories, and this is kind of goes for almost most of the tackle that we sell here, is that there's two criteria that we're looking for. Is one to hook a fish, and one to land a fish. Those are the two basic things. So when we get into small line, small hooks, well, you might get hooked up on 20-pound, but you may never land them, so you got to find that happy medium. And the same thing goes with the hooks. A lot of the hooks get into these larger gap hooks, and Mustad's kind of really known for having a super large gap. And so that gap, what that does is going to basically have more point exposure, so where the point of the hook is going to get into the fish a little bit easier. The downside to that is that there's more leverage against the point of the hook. And so if you don't get a really deep hook set, you might find that you might straighten out some of those hooks. And not a big deal when you're fishing 60 to 80-pound tuna. You're just not pulling hard enough. The fish isn't heavy enough. But once you start getting these 250 plus, big fish, you really start kind of running into that situation where an improper hook penetration, and there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes the fish, when they eat it, it goes into some bone or something like that, and it just doesn't get deep enough. Nothing you can do about that. It isn't like you can pull harder and set the hook better or nothing like that. That's when you sometimes will see these hooks straighten out. It's pretty rare, but I have seen it. And so you might opt for a smaller gap, heavier hook. So the one that would fall in that category would be either the BKK or the Owner. The Owner makes the monster hook. They have it in a 11/0 short. And if you look at just the gauge of the hook, the wire of the hook, it's almost twice as big as the other brands, and the gap is smaller. So you end up with a much stronger design, basically, and can basically pull as hard as you can. You're not going to straighten those out. So it really depends on what you're doing, Chris, and I would kind of carry both. Also depending on how these fish are, is if they're not too aggressive, and you're kind of getting bit, but they're coming off, and you're getting bit, and they're just not kind of like staying on real good. Sometimes with these bluefin, you would think with the 150-pounder, you think when they eat it, you got them, you know. But there's been lots of times when I've seen it to where you feel like you get bit for sure, and it's not there. You get bit again and it's not there. You're like, what the heck's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can figure is that you're just not getting hook penetration. There's not much you could do about that. But that might be where you get that little bit wider gap hook and maybe stand a little bit better chance at keeping them on the hook. But you always run that risk of presenting a hook that's not as strong in design, where it's still a good strong hook, but once you start getting into that straight spectra, you know, 200-pound spectra to a 200-pound leader, you put a lot of pressure, especially if you dial your drag way up too. That's another question too, is if you're using a big reel, like something that's like an international 50 versus like maybe a Fathom 40, both of them can land a big fish, but the international 50, you might have 50 pounds of drag on that, or something like that, like super heavy drag and a big heavy rod. So that's definitely going to be another situation where if you're using a big rod and reel, you want to use those heavier duty hooks as well. So it kind of goes with what you're using.
All right, and we mentioned it all the time. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. If you go into the show description, you'll see all of that as well as our weekly show, Sam's show, and everything else. So you will be able to check that out and join us on those platforms also. Christopher Martinez. Hey, guys, I took my 10-year-old son on his second twilight trip ever on the Monte this weekend. It was a good trip, but there were some drunks and stoned guys on there. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, what can I say? Well, you know, it's hard to, it happens, yeah. And hopefully, Chris, you could use that as an opportunity to teach your son about, that's what you don't want to be when you grow up. So, sorry to hear that. Scott Buchert, here it comes. You think all this food was because he's a loving, good, wonderful person?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now he wants something.
Conniving.
We need a few more people for the Sea Adventure 3-day trip, October 15th through 18th. We love the Sea Adventure. Mike McDaniels is a great guy. Did a great podcast with Mike. He was talking about fishing in Egypt. I found that fascinating. It's great stuff. So there you have it. And then Scott Buchert's back again this Friday. The Point Loma needs a few more people to go to make it a go 6-6.
6 to 6.
6 to 6. Okay, thank you. You know, you speak Scott better than I do. Excellent stuff. Christopher Martinez. Hey, Sam, do you have the Blue Edge World 6 curved edge protectors for fillet knives?
I think I do.
You like the way I read that?
Let me go look here.
Yeah, and I'll do a commercial.
Yeah.
How's that? All right, don't forget, we have the Independence coming up on October the 20th, 5-day extravaganza. What a boat, what food, what great crew, and the fishing is outstanding this year. You can get on that one by going to independencesportfishing.com. Also, I have just opened up a new YouTube channel, and nothing would make me more happy than if you went there and subscribed this evening. Really, that would mean the world to me. It's called Walk with Phil, and it's all about my journey on the carnivore diet right now, how healthy walking is, how a positive mental attitude can really help you out. And shortly, we'll be doing daily videos on there. But there's some great stuff on there already. It's Walk with Phil on YouTube, and there'll also be Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, just so I have no free time at all, Sam.
You said you're going to give us some attitude? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going to give you some attitude.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm going to do. Hey, you got them.
That's it right there. I got it.
All right, there you go. So are you doing a deal on those or not?
They're $4.99.
Oh, that's a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're pretty cheap. You ever use one of these?
No.
It's pretty good. You should.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
So you don't cut yourself.
Yeah, it is a good idea. It's a
Yeah,
super
yeah.
good idea, right?
Yeah. That's
And it
fine.
probably, does it protect the blade at all? Or
I'm sure it would. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
If it fell down or something like that, yeah, it'd be protected.
all right, there you go, Christopher.
$8.99 for you, Phil.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Double
yeah.
price for me. Thank you, Bobby. Tyler Tanaka throws us $5. Thank you, Tyler. And thank you, Scott, for dinner. It was a good dinner, wasn't
It
it?
was good. Yeah.
How
Awesome.
come Giffords not eating anything? What's wrong with him? There's a
He
whole
said,
bu-
he said he's gonna have some right now.
No, we ate.
Yeah, we ate already.
Yeah, you got tacos over
It's
there.
getting cold over there.
Scott Bucher will be happy to see you doing that. Sam, I've got a Torres 8 medium heavy with bluefin tuna and yellowfin tuna. Everywhere do you think it's stiff enough for 30 and 40 pound fluorocarbon with a Talica 8 2-speed and 50 pound braid. www.opsonusa.com.
So that's going to be right on the border. 30 pound, I think you're pretty dang good. 40 pound, you're kind of pushing it a little bit with both the rod and the reel, but you're not too bad. You're not out of line. I think you've got some bigger gear though. So if you got something a little heavier, something more like a 12, and let's say a 8-foot heavy, that'd be a little bit better. But for 30 pound, you're well within the game. 40 pound, you're kind of stretching it a little bit, but I think you'll be okay.
All right, good stuff. Hit that like button, everybody. Thanks for being here. Sam and I deeply appreciate it. Tony Russo was at San Clemente Island, and he said they gave him the boot, threw him out of there on Wednesday and Thursday. A little thing called national security, man. They put that at a high priority for some reason, right? I'm not sure why.
They just don't know about the bluefin.
Yeah, exactly. I ever tell you, here's a funny story. I ran out of fuel, big surprise, right? On the frickin' dumping grounds, way down there. And I was running out of Redondo on a commercial boat. We call this cutter. The guy comes up, and we're like, we're going to get chewed out or whatever. And this is when you didn't have to even pay. They'll tow you back to San Diego. They towed us to San Diego, and then we had to figure it out from there. The frickin' guy, he looks, and he goes, hey, you guys got a bunch of albacore. We go, yeah. And he goes, hey. And I go, yeah, oh, sure. So he started handing them albacore. And you're supposed to have somebody on the wheel at all times. So, of course, we went right down to the bunk room and turned the radio up full bore. So if the guy called, yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah.
We get up in the morning at daybreak, and what do you think the guy on the cutter's doing? Freaking jig lines out. Swear to God. He's trolling for albies. It was so funny, man.
He knew where they were.
Yeah, exactly. He knew. Exactly. Sifa says, thanks, Sam and Phil. I'll swing by Island Tackle to get some color line for my nighttime knifing setup and my sinker rig. Much love, much respect. Same to you, Sifa. And I hope you have an outstanding trip. That nighttime bite, Sam, right now, it can't get any better.
I know. I was going to ask you, too, if any of those guys were talking about any kind of daytime fly line fishing.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
So a lot of that, from what Jacob told me and what other guys have told me, it's those long drifts, kind of plunker bites.
Yeah.
So that's when...
Get you sleep
Huh?
kind of bites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where having the right pound fluorocarbon, choosing a hot bait, all that stuff I harp on, you harp on, it really comes in and pays dividends, right?
Well, it's nice to have those kind of trips where you're going to have the daytime kind of technical stuff, and then as soon as the nighttime comes, it's like, all right, party for everybody.
Yeah, it's so true, man. I mean, it's just so great to be able to do that, to, work hard. I think you hone your talents during the daytime, and then nighttime
it's
is like...
too, you just got to stay at it, 2 or 3 hours of that stuff, 4 hours of that stuff, and you're just like, oh, man, screw this, I'm going to go to bed. But the guys that stick it out, I'm pretty sure you go to bed, you wake up, they're like, oh, man, you get anything? Oh, yeah, so-and-so got 3 of them, something like that. It's like, man, well, but that's the trade-off, though, right? When nighttime comes, you got to be alert as well, and you just can't do it day and night. So if you're on a 3-day trip or something like that, you may have to figure out a time to kind of get some rest.
Yeah. Robert Graber is really excited about us being on Monday nights. Is this going to be our new thing?
No.
You're going to go back to... Why? Do you do something on Mondays normally?
Well, no. I mean, I'm sure the practices aren't going to go forever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody seems... I don't know. We might be doing Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
100 people watching the show, Sam. Steve Bermuda says, be strong, Eddie. Hey, Steve, Eddie can't get any stronger. I deeply appreciate that, man. He's really fighting hard, and like I say, he loves talking about fishing. Cue ball, they snag the rail to and bend your jig.
Yeah, I think that's talking about the hooks on top and bottom. That's another thing too that can happen. Yeah, guy goes to lift your 100-pound tuna over the rail, and you got that hook flying around, snags the rail, and now you can't get it over. So, just another potential snafu with the hooks on top and bottom. Yeah,
for sure. Richard Escalante. Richard, I met him Friday at the landing. Super nice man. He says, I was using a drop shot rig with a Mustad Demon Offset Ring 3X. I was nose hooking my bait, would fall off easily. Any recommendations? I landed a 70-plus pound bluefin tuna on the drop shot rig on the El Patron. By the way, we had a great time on our trip on the El Patron. I'll get into it in a minute. But the crew, fantastic. The boat's beautiful. We had a lot of fun catching some nice big calicos at Catalina. I love fishing the back, and it was a beautiful day. Really, really fun. Take it away.
So as far as your nose hooking, sometimes those baits are pretty beat up, and they just don't have a whole lot of nose cartilage. So you might either have to go a little deeper, a little further back, or if it's just kind of impossible and you're just losing them over and over and over, is maybe you might try the old like anchovy style hooking where you're going to go from underneath the jaw and come out through the nose and kind of grab some more meat there. It might be another way. They're not going to live as long as you would just a regular nose hook, but if they're falling off, it don't matter anyway. You just want to have a bait down there. So you might try that as well. I've seen that work pretty good. That's usually something we do when we have smaller baits and we're using a bigger hook, but they're just kind of two different things you could try.
All right, very good. Steve Bermuda says nobody's going to be watching football unless they pay a big price for it next year. Is that something that's going on?
I think it's on. It's on. What is it on Prime or whatever? It's one of those things where you got to have a different service. It's not like on Channel 7 or something like that anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
And
I don't know if Monday Night Football, but maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I can still remember regular TV. You remember those?
Yeah.
And then like, I'm not going to pay for it. Everybody's paying for TV. So.
Well, what are you going to do?
I know, exactly. Albert Ponce, good evening, Phil, Sam, and all of you watching. Albert, always great to see you here. Man, almost 50 likes. Let's see if we can get 50 likes in the next 30 seconds. What do you say, Sam? I say yes.
I'll do it right now.
Oh, we almost are there, man. I'm telling you, these guys are good. There it goes. Close, close, close. Yes! Slam dunk. Thank you, everybody. Keep slamming that like button. We really appreciate it. Owner Gorilla Hooks, Cue Ball says. Steve Bermudez, hey, Sam, do the manufacturers use the rating process of eeny, meeny, miny, mo when they rate a fishing rod? Good question, Steve Bermudez.
So that's kind of a tough one right there. As far as rod ratings, I mean, there's definitely some guidelines that they probably take to where, well, there's two things here. First is that you got to remember that the rod ratings are based on what we use in most of the West as far as our line sizes. So when you go and pick your fluorocarbon, they don't have a 13 or an 18 or a 26 or a 30, 35 or whatever. They're going to have 15, 20, 30, 40. Any shop you go into, the whole country, pretty much the Western world, you're going to have those line sizes. So the line ratings on a rod have to kind of match those, So if a rod is 12 to 30, the next heavier rod has to be 15 to 40. The next heavier rod has to be 20 to 50. So when they're designing the rod, they're going to design it as like a light, medium, heavy, extra heavy, and so forth. Well, the line ratings that are going to be attached to that have to start at one point and end up at another. Now, our line ratings are pretty spaced out, where we kind of have everything already set. The rod ratings, or the way that the rod is designed, may not be as spaced out. They may have a pattern or a design for one rod model, and then the next heavier model, let's say if you have three together, the one in the middle may not be exactly in the middle. It might be closer to one side or closer to another. And so sometimes the line rating attached to it might be in the middle, but the actual rod might end up somewhere else, not in the middle of those two rods. So it can be a little confusing. I will say that the reason we exist as a business is that you can come down here and we can kind of show you by pulling on a rod. I know a lot of guys will order a rod and they'll order 5 or 6 rods online. They get them to their house, they go on a fishing trip and they're like, oh man, those are the wrong ones, that they didn't work too good. And they'll bring them into the shop and they say, well, I'm going to go on another trip, and last time I went, the rods were really set up right. And the rod ratings might show something, but for whatever reason, it just isn't what we are used to here on the West Coast. It might be some other kind of brand of rod. So we kind of have to set them up straight, and where they may have thought that they were saving a few bucks by ordering them online, maybe $10 a rod or something like that, it ends up being that they're the wrong rod. So unfortunately, there's no easy answer to that. Every single brand has their own ability to rate their rods the way they want to. There isn't any kind of international weights and measures on that. But I will say that that's kind of how they start on one end and progressively go to the other. And unfortunately, the slots where they land may not always be exactly the same from line to line. And even within the same brand, you might have one brand that has 2 different lines, like maybe something that's for, let's say, inshore fishing and one's for offshore fishing, and they may have the same line rating on 2 different rods, and the rods feel totally different. But it might be because of how they're designed for a specific type of use or intention or presentation or things like that. So sometimes that also has a lot to do with it too. So it can be really, really confusing when you're trying to shop for your next rod. The best I can tell you is go into your local tackle shop, and hopefully they have a good supply of rods where they can show you the difference between the two, because it can be very, very confusing. And the best I can tell you is that there isn't mini, miny, mo, but it definitely isn't straightforward for every brand in every series. So hope that helps.
And something like I want to say as personal as a rod, because I mean it's got to meet your specific requirements. I think you got to come in and try it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, within some reason. Sometimes if you have a rod that you already like, so
Yeah.
let's say you have a CalStar 870, and it's rated 15 to 40. Well, you already know that the 670, 20 to 50 is probably going to be a little heavier than that. So sometimes if you have a rod that is that you already like, you may be able to use that to judge. It may not work, because like I was saying, it's not always equidistant between the different models in that same line. But I will say that the best way to do is you come into a shop and we'll kind of help you out with that. It's a hard one to answer here.
All right, perfect. Soto, Sam, any recommendations for a 2-speed reel under $500? By the way, spaced out, you were mentioning that? Reminds me of Scott Buchert. Spaced out.
Spaced out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you dare you speak about Scott Buchert that way?
I love Scott.
He just fed you
Yes?
very, very well.
He's still spaced out.
A steak
Care what you
for
say.
dinner.
He's spaced out. What can I
He
tell
can be
you?
spaced out tomorrow, but today, Scott, you're all right, man.
We love you, Scott. Thank you.
So 2-speed reels, there's a ton of them actually. If you look at the fathoms like we always talk about, those things are great. Up to the 80, they've got the newest one that's a kind of a bigger size. Those are only, I think, $350. And some guys will upgrade the handles to those because it's kind of a big reel with a small handle. But even with the upgrade, you're going to be at around $420 to $430, something like that, with a new handle. So that's a good line to go. The Shimano has their series. They have the Speedmasters, and their biggest reel is around the same, about $350 or something like that. And so there's definitely a lot of different ways to go now. Both of those brands have kind of like from the smallest 25-pound reel up to a 100-pound reel on the other end too. So I'm not sure if you're looking for something different than that, bigger than that, but those two lines will carry you through that in that price range.
All right, Travis Bright is with us. Once again, Travis is going to be on the boat Wednesday. We're going to get him, Travis. It's going to be a good one. What's a good Wahoo rod and reel? Asking for Scott Buchert.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're not in on that joke, by the way, everybody, there was one show where Scott asked that question 436 times.
Yeah.
Was that the count?
I think.
Yeah, it was
that's
something
really
like
right,
that. Travis, perfect. We love it, man. Omar, Proteus Tuna Special, 7'4", or PCH, Triple X Heavy, 7.6 for 100-pound knife jig setup. The Daiwa seems a bit heavier than expected. I don't know if that's good or bad.
So I personally like the Proteus a little bit better. The action on the blank itself, I just like the way that they designed that blank. It's kind of a blank that if they offered it as a blank, I would custom build them. I mean, it's just kind of the right action, So to me, just based on the action of the blank, I like what I see there. The PCH rod, I mean, they've proven to be also very good. They're a little bit more parabolic than I like, so I like something that's got a little bit more power. The reason being is we're using them on the rail, and we're using them like a crowbar, basically. I mean, we're putting all of our weight on the thing and applying tremendous amount of pressure on the fish. And so the stiffer the rod, the more pressure you're transferring to the fish. The PCH, though, for a guy who maybe is a little bit intimidated by a rod that's too stiff, they might like that rod. It is a little bit more parabolic. You're going to be able to maybe lift on that a little bit, but it's also going to be softer on the fish. When a fish wants to really dig, because the rod's more parabolic, it's going to give more, whereas the Proteus rod, because it is stiffer, when a fish tries to do that, you're going to kind of stop it in its tracks. So it's kind of like they're both good. I prefer the Proteus. And as far as the weight you're talking about that, they have a super, super heavy-duty foregrip. I'll bring one here to show you.
All right, perfect.
Super heavy-duty foregrip, and that's another reason for the weight.
All right, 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California, where you can jump on so many different boats. They're all great. 310-832-8304. And also Ventura Sport Fishing. Great customer service, great fishing right now. 805-676-3474.
So that's the rod there. You think it's heavy?
Well,
It's a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
But look at that foregrip. I mean, that
Yeah.
thing is like steel belted, you know?
God,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
crazy. So it's definitely built as a rail rod to be, put on the rail and undergo a lot
I mean, it
of
seems
pressure.
beefy as hell.
But it's beefy, yeah. And
Yeah.
they use, the good Fuji guides are kind of what most rod builders would use, nice aluminum reel seat and a gimbal. So definitely a little heavier than some other rods, but not heavier than your other high-end rail rods too. So it's been a really popular rod.
All right, 2 minutes. Can we get to 75 likes, yes or no?
I thought we were at 100.
Oh, no. Are we? I don't know. My
what you
thing
said
runs
earlier.
behind sometimes.
Oh.
We're at 65. I say
No,
yes.
I say no.
All right, 2 minutes. You guys keep count out there. Hit that like button. I want to beat Sam on this one. What do I win? Sam, nothing?
Pride.
All right. Noli Yan happens to be an outstanding human being. I had the opportunity to fish with him on the Apollo this year. He's a great guy. How's it going, fellas? Winding line on for an 8-day trip. What's your favorite knot? For a solid braid to leader, I just tied the uni to uni, Tony Pena and RP. Much love, tight lines. Love you, Noli. Sam.
I think that Uni and RP are pretty much something that's been around forever and had a lot of success. The Tony Pena is something that's kind of become a crowd favorite, especially when you start getting into the big lines. It tapers down towards the guides from your reel, and so especially when you get into that like 60-pound on up where the knot can become big, a lot of guys do like that Tony Pena. But both of those other knots have proven themselves over the years to be really, really good. I've seen lots of big fish caught on all of them. The only advantage of that Tony Pena is one that, like I said, it tapers towards from the reel to the guide. So when you cast, it'll cast through the guides a little bit better.
All right, we're at a minute and a half. We have 73 likes. 2 more, 3 more, and I beat Sam. 3 likes, please. I want to beat Sam. I really want to beat him. Please,
It's
please.
over. It's
no,
over.
it's not. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We frickin' tied. All right. Oh, hey, you took one off, you crook. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, look.
I know, I put it back on.
So did a couple other guys. Look at that now. It's flying. All right, thanks. We're going to get to 100 really early in the show. He's taking them off all the time. Dirty rat. Red Pill, great show as always, gentlemen. Question, Sam, as a designated popper setup, what size spinning reel and rod would you recommend for those great big tunas?
Well, one of the things you start getting into with that is the physical weight of those reels. I think we're talking a popper setup. So, okay, there's going to be 2 different kind of answers here. Oh, no, exactly about the spinning. I'm sorry. So 14,000 size is going to be kind of the sweet spot. You don't really want to go too much smaller than that. You're going to start kind of getting concerned with line capacity, and anything larger than a 14,000, you're going to start getting into just the weight of the reel. I used to have a Stella 18,000 that I got because I didn't want to get the big one. They make a 20,000, even 30,000. These things are humongous. And, I thought, man, with the casting, I just don't know if I can do it with the 20,000. So I got the 18, and well, the 18 was pretty dang heavy too. 20, 30 minutes of that, my shoulder was burning, man.
I'll bet.
It was so heavy. So the 14,000, I went to that one, and I found that to be good. Now, I haven't caught like a giant 200-pounder, but I think it holds just as much line as like that Tranx 500. So that being said, it'll probably do just as well. It has more drag than that reel does. So as long as you have a rod that'll support the drag, you should be pretty good. But the 20,000 or the 18 or 20,000 would kind of be your next step up. And but to be honest with you, you got to be a pretty big guy to throw that thing around. The 14,000 size, I think, is pretty good. And either you go with any of the brands have that size. I think Shimano has it, Daiwa has it. Then on the rod, you're going to be also kind of depending on what you can handle. But most of those popping rods are going to be 8 to 8.5 feet, and it's something that's rated pretty dang heavy. So that's also one that you want to go into the tackle shop and kind of pull on them and see what you think you can hang on for. It's going to be an hour or more. So you got to be kind of able to hang on that rod for that long. But pretty much the heaviest rod you can hang on for the longest time, and they're going to be rated pretty high into that 60 to 100, 80 to 100, something like that. Pretty dang heavy rods.
Scott Buchert is here with a lovely question. I had dinner with Scott, and as I described to you, I was talking to my friend Bob Gifford across the way when I noticed that Scott had rubbed marmalade jelly all over my leg right at dinner. So it was very, very nice. Scott wants to know, should I use a stick bait on the local tuna?
I would, yeah. Especially you get into some of that foamer fish. It's been a pretty good size though. I mean, that stuff has been up to 100 pounds. Some of that local fishing. So the stick bait or even a jerk bait. So the jerk baits are going to be the ones that have a small lip here, and guys use them actually for like even bass fishing. But you can beef up the hooks on those, and those work pretty good as well. But a stick bait, jerk bait type of presentation, I don't see why I wouldn't.
All right, very good. SD Eddie, San Diego Eddie, I'm guessing. Good evening, Eddie. Thanks for joining us. Andrew Hoshino, what is your opinion? What is the best split ring pliers, the pliers?
So there's a couple out there.
Is that Warren's guy stuff?
Warren Detroit, yeah, those toy
Detroit,
tools.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, those have been really good. Those are a little bit more on the compact size, so I think guys like those because the size isn't too big. Obviously, the Shimano one, we've promoted that one for a couple years now, and the only problem with that one is that it's back ordered, out of stock, and I think they're going to be out of stock for most of the rest of the year. We just got some in from Owner. They are super beefy, actually, and I think those would work really, really good. They're almost so beefy that on some of these split rings, you're going to have to be careful not to open them too much. They're gonna pry them open and stay open. And then there's another one that we got in from Spro. Actually, we're supposed to get in from them here in the next week or so, which are another good one too. But I found that either the Toy tool or the Shimano have been the best. But that Owner, we just got that in, and that thing looks pretty dang nice. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but what is it these days? And when you get into these big split rings, you got to have something that's going to open there, or else you're just not going to be able to work with it. Now, it also depends on what you're going to be using that split ring in conjunction with. If you're going to be putting it on the assist hook and on your jig, it doesn't need to open it that much. So, there's a lot of split ring pliers that'll work. It isn't a problem until you start getting into a situation where you maybe want to add let's say a treble hook to a jig, because the wire of the treble hook is so much thicker than it would be on the jig. And so opening it up that far is a hard task. But for anything else than that, the other split ring pliers will work.
Do you have the heater on in here? Are you hot?
There's a lot of hot air. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Me, the hot air? Or?
Yeah, I've noticed
Are you hot?
You've been talking a little bit more than other shows. So.
Yeah, I'm on this tonight, man. I'm excited.
You want to turn the AC on for you?
Yeah, you don't have AC. Yeah, you gotta open the door, right?
No, I got AC.
No, you don't have to do that.
$1,500 a month. Jeez,
No, let's keep it at 15. Let's not go over. Balboa Fish Group. We're going to troll Mad Max 200. By the way, welcome, my friend, and a 160 at the same time. What distance from the boat for each? Would you recommend a top shot of mono and a 200-pound leader? Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Balboa Fish Group.
So on these Mad Max, it's typically going to be in what we call the clean water. So meaning there's no boat wake. So it really kind of depends on your boat and how much wake you have. And you're almost going to want to go almost twice as length as what you think is the clean water. So guys are going to go 250 feet, 350 feet, 400 feet at times. And that's might be one of the things that you make adjustments on. So you might try it out at about 200, 250 feet. If you're not getting bit, maybe let it out a little farther. Typically, the farther the better, but you can go overboard. Obviously, you dump half your reel before you get bit, So that's going to be the one thing there. As far as the leader, that's going to be another thing, too. It seems like some boats get bit just fine with the 200-pound bite leader on the front of it. But some boats, for whatever reason, they just, maybe the harmonics or whatever, the fish just kind of need to be a little bit more stealthy, and guys will fish straight 100-pound off their reel. I know that 2 years ago when that Mad Max was like full speed, everyone was using them. That was kind of one of the big things, is the guys that were being real successful were fishing 100-pound or maybe 130-pound leader, and not the 200-pound leader that we're kind of used to. And that was the way they were getting bit. Now, they were losing some jigs. Some guys were getting bit off. But it was well worth it because they were just landing so many fish and so quickly. But that's kind of what I would use as a guideline is you want to always kind of go with the heaviest line and the shortest possible distance so you can land the fastest. But your next kind of adjustments are going to be going further back, and then maybe after that go on to a lighter leader. So that'd be how I would approach it.
All right, everybody, don't forget to jump into the show description to find out how you can follow us on so many other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course, one of the most dramatic moments in podcast history, rescuers reunite for the first time with the girl they saved 35 years ago. That was a moment I will never forget. Mike Paisano and, of course, Paul Strasser and Desiree Rodriguez. You're going to want to see that. All right, we need 17 likes to get to 100. I say we do it by 7 p.m., which is only 4 minutes. What's your bet?
No.
No way, huh?
Let me take them off real quick.
Oh, stop. How many you got on there? You can only do one, right? We need 100 likes by 7 p.m. We can do this. Folks, come on. We can do this. We have to put Sam to shame. Let him know that the Friedman Adventures family will come through when the going gets tough. The Friedman Adventure family gets going. Is that good?
Huh?
All right. I don't know. I launched into some craziness.
Yeah.
DJB
Alter
last
ego.
week hooked a 160-pound bluefin fish, top and bottom hooks, hooked lower, but jig swung and top hook stuck in the head. Pulled sideways for 45 minutes. That's a tough one. Something to consider when deciding how to rig jigs. Good point.
That's another one, too,
really
I forgot
good
to
point.
mention. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of another complaint that people had, is that when they were hooking that bottom hook inside the corner of the mouth, and now you had that back hook, by its pectoral fin, you were literally pulling from the pectoral fin, because that's where you're tying from on the top side, and it made fighting a fish a lot harder. So that's another thing to consider as well. Good point.
All right, come on. We need, we're jumping up. We only need 13. 13 likes, and we got this. Come on, we
Three
got
more
2
minutes.
3 minutes, whatever it is. All right, I'm trying to find my place here. Where am I?
Should you change your
There is a lot of
Eddie.
questions, man, huh?
SD Eddie.
SD Eddie.
He was asking if we
Go
should
ahead,
change
you
your
ask and
fluoro
I'll
every
catch
trip.
up.
Doesn't it get old and cloudy, or can you leave it on all season? As far as your fluorocarbon, most of the times if you haven't hooked a fish on it, I'd say you're probably pretty good. Or if you haven't put it through a lot, so you got let's say 100-pound fluoro, you hooked a 40-pound tuna, you're probably just fine to reuse it again. But it's one of those hard questions to answer, because sometimes a guy maybe hooked up an 80-pound tuna, so he's like, well, I don't know, you're kind of on the fence of that, But if you're going to be targeting the fish of a lifetime, I definitely would change it. If you're targeting, let's say 20-pound yellowtail, and there's like 100 of them on a kelp patty, and you're catching them left and right, probably not such a big deal. But you want to use that as a way of measuring, how important it is to use. That fluorocarbon is definitely a small part of your expense, and the best you do to get yourself ready for that situation, the better. But you can definitely reuse it. One of the things that I'll do is that if I know the fluorocarbon's been on there, let's say I took it on a trip and I didn't even use it, or even if I used it but didn't catch nothing on it. But most of my rigs are like, they don't catch anything on them. But what I'll do is that I'll tie a hook on the end, and I'll put that on a ring somewhere on the boat or in the shop, wherever I'm at, and you can stretch it. So one of the things people think is the fluorocarbon doesn't stretch, but it stretches quite a bit. Is you'll stretch it, you'll feel it stretch. If the fluorocarbon will stay straight, then I'll reuse it. If it goes back to where it coils, because being on your reel, when you take it off, it's going to be coiled, it's going to have some memory. But if you can remove the memory from it, then I'll reuse it. And that's kind of one of the things I do anyways when I'm getting ready to fish, is that in the morning, I tie my hook on, and before I put a bait on, I'll go and I'll stretch my line, and you'll see that it dramatically straightens it out. You wouldn't think it does that much, but it's crazy how much it will. Now, if it doesn't stretch out, that means that memory is just kind of set into the line, and what's going to happen is when you go and put your bait out, all that coil is going to be in the water, and now when the bait's trying to pull line off your reel, it's kind of pulling it off in a coil. So if you can get your line streamlined and stretched out, you're going to see your bait is going to be swimming better and hopefully get more bites.
All right, you won, by the way. It's 7 o'clock. Well, I made it to 89. Well, we tied the one time. All right, we'll keep this
Shooting
going.
for the stars.
Naughty Boy 78 got a chance to fish on the Pacific Dawn. They've been killing it. Naughty Boy, good to see you here, by the way. And got an estimated 200-pound fish. Way to go, man, on the kite. Night fishing
Very
and
good.
food was great. Freezer is full. Naughty Boy, so happy for you. The Pack Dawn's been killing them along with a lot of other guys, it's great fishing.
That's been another thing too we didn't mention too with the bite going on is that that kite bite has been insane as well.
Oh my God.
A lot of the private boaters have been just mopping up. I just saw Matt Olson here that works here. He posted a video. He got a couple nice fish today. He went fishing
On his boat?
On his boat.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. The Freeman, right?
No, on his personal boat. And so he's been doing good. Plus, I know some of the other customers we've been getting in here fished over the weekend. They got a bunch of fish, and I know some of the sport boats too have been fishing the kite and been doing really good too. So that bodes well too. I mean, when they start getting frisky like that, you know you're going to have a good night bite as well. So that's also an awesome thing.
Yeah, and Sam, there's fish out there near Clemente. We've talked about it, man. Channel Islands, off Del Mar, off Newport. I mean, the Enterprise. All these guys are getting a shot at it.
Redondo Beach Pier.
We got to be the envy of the sport fishing world right now.
I would think so. I mean, especially for us. I mean, I know we kind of harp on this, and it seems like it's a broken record, but we're definitely living the good old days. I mean, this is the best fishing that, as far as a 10-year stretch, this is the best fishing we've ever had in the history of Southern California sport fishing. So if that's not enough to get you out right now, I don't know what is. And I think most of the boats are pretty full from what I understand.
Yeah, they are.
Except for Scott's boat.
Yes. So what's wrong with Scott's boat? Why can't they get out? Scott, we have to think about that. Christopher Navarro. Some of the boats out of San Diego are targeting yellowfin. I'm taking 2 fly liners. What should my top shots be? Talica
8?
Talica 8, 2-speed, and Talica 12 too. Of course, I'm taking 8 rigs because I'm jiggy. Good job, Christopher. That's the only way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're going to be into 25 pound and maybe 40 pound for those two. 25 pound seems to be as low as you've had to go. Take some 20 pound with you just in case.
Good sage advice.
Because there has been times where that fish has been a little bit hard to get a bite. It's been pretty dang good, so you're probably going to be able to get them on 40 pound, but take the 20 just in case.
Omar has a great question. He wants to know, should he have a designated 60 pound and 80 pound setup, or can that be done with one rod?
If you have it, take it. If you don't have it, then yeah, take what you got. But I'm going fishing here in a couple weeks here on the new low end, so I won't be able to do the show that week.
Oh,
yeah. But
well, wait a minute. What days are you on the new low end?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, so we'll have to do like a Sunday night show.
It could be Sunday night, yeah.
Yeah, your wife will kill you the only day you're off.
But that 60 and 80 pound hasn't been as big a factor lately. It seems like that daytime fish has been more of a pick bite, 20, 30, 40 pound test. Haven't heard a whole lot of that on that other stuff, but you'd probably be into if it was me, I'd probably set it up as 80 pound for that sinker bite, a drop shot bite. But the rest of the fly line stuff has been definitely on lighter stuff.
All right, good stuff. Balboa Fish Group. Also, would you recommend switching the back circle hook to a treble hook? Thank you. Do you guys solder rings at Island?
Yes. Yes and yes. Yeah, treble hooks definitely the way to go. Actually, a customer was just in today that says that they were fishing this weekend and fishing the Mad Max, and they kept getting hooked up, and the fish kept falling off, and they didn't have the treble hook on the back. That's probably the only one gotta have. Fluorocarbon on your leader, or 200-pound fluorocarbon, or how far back it is. That can all be debatable. Some boats get bit one way or another, but a treble hook on the back, definitely 100% A1, gotta have it. Make sure you got that on your Mad Max.
All right, Christopher Martinez, thanks, guys. I'll swing by and pick up that knife guard this weekend. Also, I'm looking for a 7-foot blank to build my son a new rod. Any recommendations? I was looking at the rain shadow blanks.
Yeah, we got, depending on what line size you're looking for, 12 to 30, all the way up to, a 60, 80 pound rod. And those are great. I mean, depending on your kind of what you're after as far as application as well. We got the rain shadow, we have American tackle, and even some CalStar stuff that isn't too expensive too. Sometimes people overlook those glass CalStar blanks. Those aren't too bad either. So come on down, we'll help you out.
3 more likes for 100.
Phew.
5 minutes late. Darn it. Stop that. Will you? You're driving me crazy tonight with that, Sam. Tim P. Will Smith. Hit the like button. Naughty Boy 78. On the 3-day trip, the day fishing was really tough, but the night fishing really paid off. The tuna were out there, though. So kind of what we were talking about, Naughty Boy, it sounds like, right? I mean,
Yeah.
daytime, you're working hard at it. Sometimes you get into a good drift. Sometimes you don't. But, man, do they want to bite at night right now.
Yeah.
Full speed.
Not only that, a lot of times that night fish is sometimes a little bit bigger too. So if you're looking to kind of clean up on a couple nice fish, that seems to be the way to get them at night.
Nick Ramirez is a Patreon member of Friedman Adventures. He was on the Spitfire out of Marina Del Rey, kind of just changing the subject because he popped into my head. But he said they had limits of sculpin, limits of bass by 10 a.m.
Wow.
Just incredible local fishing also up there in the bay. So it's been really, really, really an outstanding year. Like Sam said, and he's 100% right. When I look back, I've been doing this for 60 years. There's no question this has been one heck of a 10-year stretch. Even though I was in China for 3 years, you were keeping me in touch with all the latest, waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you didn't realize what time it was in wherever I was, Quinshan. So, all right, Rick Slater. Sam, do you have any red knife jigs? Heard they are hot. Where'd you hear that, Rick?
I know. It's kind of a big secret.
In case you're just joining us, Jacob Barclay ran the Pegasus last night. He said, I don't know what to tell you, but the fish we caught were biting red jigs. Do you have any?
Especially since everybody had red jigs.
You know, I think that all the time. Exactly. Like they're by their full speed on the blue and white. What are you guys throwing? Oh, everybody's throwing blue and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was purple and green. They'd have been wide open on that. I don't know.
We got them. We got them in stock from 300 to 500 grams. Yeah, pretty much all the jig sizes, all the colors, all the assist hooks. We got tons of them. So you guys getting ready for a trip? Come on down. We'll help you get ready.
Ken G says, thanks for the great show, guys. Blessings to my fishing family. Ken G, thanks for tuning in, my friend. We really, really appreciate it. Cue ball, Sriracha Rip Rollers are the hot ticket. You have any of those, Sam?
Yeah. Srirachas, and also too, we got some in from Jig Para, which is a big jig company. They actually are kind of more known for their small little micro jigs. But we got some in from them, and one of the cool things about those jigs is that they're a little bit better price because they don't come with any hooks. So sometimes you think, oh man, it's kind of cheating me out of no hooks, but 9 times out of 10 we're changing the hooks anyway. So you get a little bit better value for the jig itself, and you're going to buy the hooks anyway. So we've been selling a lot of those. They have that red with the polka dot as well. They have a purple one, and they got the glow striped one. They got a whole bunch of different ones, but we got those in stock now.
All right, perfect. 103 likes. Thank you so very much. Don't forget, you can share these. Go into the show descriptions to find out some other great and beautiful avenues where you can follow us. Some of them, are they at Dodger Stadium right now?
Yeah, you know who that is, right?
No. What do you say?
You don't know who that is. Are you a Dodger fan?
Oh my God, Scott Buchert. Steve Garvey.
Steve Garvey, yeah.
Yes, first
Pretty
baseman
cool.
for the
Yeah.
Dodgers. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I knew that, right?
Yeah.
There you
Pretty
go.
Cool.
All right, Steve Bermuda says, what are we going to be doing? We're watching Friedman Adventures. We love you, man. Danilo Santos, why would a rod be rated 20 to 40 mono and 60 to 80 braid? What a
Yeah.
great question.
So that's another place that kind of gets a little confusing as to the rod ratings, So a company like Shimano, they're going to be selling a rod to San Diego, to Northern California, to Louisiana, to Italy, to Japan, to all these places, right? So they're going to have one rod, same model that they're selling to all these different markets. So rather than trying to make a rod that has all these different markings or ratings on the rod, they're going to rate it basically for all the different markets. So we always look at what we do and think, well, doesn't everybody do it that way? Well, they don't. There's places in the world where they fish all braid and they're fishing super heavy braid, and maybe they're fishing it not because they are pulling real hard, but maybe they're fishing a lot of structure with that rod or something like that. So you might find that it has a heavy braid rating for that other market. So sometimes these ratings are a little bit hard to kind of look at as far as you look at them online, and the only way to really look at it before you buy it is to come into a shop and check it out. But once again, that's another wrinkle in that whole conversation as to that too, is that rod might be marketed to many different markets in the world, and they just fishing different than we do.
DJ, we love you, DJ. Thanks for making the show so great with all your great questions. Sam, is it really a line rating or a fish weight rating?
No, definitely not a fish weight rating. Yeah, that's going to be even tougher, because obviously fish in the water, they don't weigh anything. That's a common question we get. A guy, usually a beginning fisherman, they come in, they look at a rod and say, well, what kind of fish can I catch with this? And it's like, well, what kind of fish can you catch with it, or what kind of fish can I catch with it? A guy who's been doing it for a long time can finesse up, 40-pound tuna with 12-pound test, pretty easily. So that's something that with time, you're going to find that you're able to catch a bigger fish with lighter line. And so that just takes practice. But as far as the weight of the fish, it doesn't weigh anything in the water. So it's really more about how hard that fish is pulling, the thrust that fish might have. And so, like, let's say a 40-pound halibut, which is big and strong, isn't going to pull as hard or the same as like a big tuna would. So it also depends on what you're targeting.
All right, good stuff. Isoto. I'm an Akuma Cedros 50 100-pound. Was wondering if you could recommend a 2-speed reel to pair it with, Sam.
Which Cedros do you have? They have the jigging rod, they have the casting rod, so that I probably would need to know a little bit more about the rod that you have specifically.
All right, we'll catch up with you when you post that. Danilo Macaira 16 or 20 Soto?
20 Soto. No, I would say the 20. If anything right now with these fish getting bigger and bigger, especially if this is going to be your biggest rig, I'd probably just go with the 20.
Kenji Dodson says, man, he loves you for some reason.
Kenji's the man.
What'd you do for this guy? Go and see Sam at, this sounds like an ad. Let me try to read it like an ad. Go and see Sam at Island Tackle. Always cool, easygoing, and loaded with knowledge.
I am full of it, ain't I?
Yeah, you certainly are. Kenji nailed it. Cue ball. Gonna sat the same Macaira 15, 16. Can't beat them.
You can't.
No, you can't. What's so funny? Cue ball, it's that voice to text. I get that all the time. Isoda says, thanks, Sam.
You got it.
Steve Bermuda, Sam, way too much information for me. I'm going to have to sharpen my pencil again.
Yeah.
You do that. Tony, good evening to all. Walk with Phil. I'm on it. Tony, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Sam, what's your take on the jigging setups, and would you use one?
Yes, I would use one 100%. I was just like everybody else, kind of resistant to it. That's just kind of nature. I think we're always resistant to change. But when it first kind of came on board, I saw it working okay, and I thought, well, maybe at times it might be okay, and maybe if you just want to be different, that's okay. But I never really saw it as a valuable tool because we were used to catching these big giant tuna down on these long trips, 16-day trips on a big rail rod and fishing a mackerel and things like that. It's a little bit different situation here with this bluefin. They do react to the jig a lot better at times when it's being used properly, when it's getting the action put into it. And so the jigging rod, I'm sure that most guys have understood now, is that the rod itself is really the main function of that thing is opposite of what we would think about when we're trying to get a rail rod together. So you get an International 30, you're going to match a cow straw with it. Well, the rod was going to match the line size you were going to use on the reel, and that kind of determined how hard you were going to pull and how heavy of a rod that you wanted to hold on to as well. Well, with the jigging thing, it really has very little to do with that. Now, granted, it doesn't completely go away. You're still going to fight a fish with the rod, but not as much as you would with a rail rod. So now you have to kind of ask, well, what rod and how do I choose a rod? And basically, it's going to be the jig rating. The jig rating is going to really determine the rod that you're going to pick. Now, same with like let's say a jig stick, a surface iron jig stick. For one guy, a stiff graphite rod might be better for him because of the way he casts. Maybe he does those big power casts and he really snaps the rod, so he's going to use a stiffer rod. Another guy that likes a nice easy lob might like a all glass rod, like a 690J or something like that. And so both rods might work, but they're totally different. Same thing kind of applies with the jigging thing, because there is a lot of jigging motion to it. You're going to find that some guys like a little softer rod and some guys like a little stiffer rod with that same jig size, which I know doesn't really answer the question as to what rod to use, but it does answer the question as to whether I would take it or not. In fact, on that New Loan trip, I had two rods specifically built. One actually built by Freddie, awesome rod, and another one that we built here in the shop. And so I'm taking them both, and I'm really looking forward to using it because I know it works, and and I know it's something that I want to learn how to do.
Speaking of boats that are all over it, the New Loan, for as long as I've been around, and they still top of the line.
Yeah.
Pacific Queen, New Loan, Pacific Dawn, San Diego. Those
So
San
many nice
Diego,
boats
yeah, they're
down there,
really, really good. I don't mean to leave anybody out. Scott Dickinson, I think some rods like a CalStar Graphite are underrated. I fished the max line rating, no fear of bottoming out.
Yeah, so there's definitely some different factors involved, and one of them being like maybe how you like to pull on a rod. A lot of times a guy using, let's say, 60-pound test. You got two guys using 60-pound test, and the general rule was 20 to 30% of your line rating would be where you set your drag. Well, you go 20% of 60-pound. What's that going to be?
20% of 60 pound?
20% of 60 pounds?
Yeah.
12.
So 12 pounds of drag, right?
Thank God he's
Yeah. And 30% would be 20. That's a huge range, 12 to 20 pounds. And those would both be within kind of the range of how you would set up that rod and reel. And so that being said, if you're on the heavier side, you might fish a rod that's heavier. And if you're on the lighter side of that, you fish a rod that's a little lighter. So that's also another consideration too, as far as how you like to fish your drag.
I was thinking of bringing the Hunter Biden painting down and displaying it for maybe a few days. Would you be interested in that?
How much would that cost me?
I'll talk to you off camera.
All right, okay, good.
After the show, we'll work something out. Tim Marquez, Sam's. Oh, here's another commercial.
This guy here, Tim.
Sam's great. Here, this is a testimonial now. I'll read it like a testimonial. Sam's great. I brought him a list of my rod models and reel models. He matches them up for me and identified where I needed to upgrade my rods. Spent some money, but it was well worth it. He didn't quite say it that way, but it was close.
You give a guy a free line, that's what he does for you,
Tim, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Hit that like button, everybody. Tony says the FG knot.
Yeah, that's another good knot too. It's another knot that's kind of in that jigging world, but it's also a knot that I've seen on my long range trips here, and I've seen some very, very big fish. It's a very slim knot. It takes a little bit more practice to get it down, but definitely a slim knot that you guys should look into.
Carlos Mosquera, who's a great guy, fantastic guy, says, good evening, seniors. How'd you get thrown into the senior thing? Oh,
Seniors.
senor.
Yours.
Oh, perdón. I thought he was saying senior.
Just my 2 cents.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to get loopy already tonight. Scott Dickinson, what is the max line on Tranks 400 and 500?
So as far as your braid, I would say maybe 50 pound and 80 pound. As far as your top shot, I would say maybe 40 pound and 60 pound. Maybe 30 pound, I'd say 30 pound on the 400 and maybe 60 pound on that 500.
Where did Scott Bucher go? You think he's off at the casino losing money again?
Could be.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
Probably upset at you. That's what he's doing.
Oh, he might be.
Rightly so.
Did I say something
Rightly so.
evil?
Every day.
Yeah, come on.
Every hour.
I take good care of Scott. That's why I have no hair left. Cue Ball says Shimano Orca is a good big stick bait. I got some.
Yeah, those are good. Shimano's been making those for a while now. When the popper thing was super popular about 5-6 years ago, those orcas from there were really, really getting bit real good.
Danilo Santos says he likes the Shimano. Tim Marquez, what would you use a Tranks 400? What type and size of fish? Offshore, surf. Thank you.
That 400
Thank you,
size being either from Shimano, the Tranks, either that, the Daiwa, Lexa, the Okuma, Komodo, all those reels they're in that same 400 size class, and they're so versatile for our fishery. So anything from shallow water rock cod, calico bass, bonita, barracuda, yellowtail, up to 20 pounds. In fact, on my Cedros trip, those reels are super popular down there. A guy using to throw jigs with. I've seen many 20 to 25 pound yellows caught on those things. And I've seen lots of tuna caught on them too. I'd say up to 30, 40 pounds. No problem on those. And so those reels are so versatile. You can use them for so many things for our fishery. And so if you don't have one, you got to get one, Tim.
All right, Tim, thank you so much for being with us here this evening. Carlos says, hey, Sam, I'm jumping on the El Patron this Friday for a day-and-a-half trip and wanted to try my hand at fishing the popper. Any recommendations for a pooper?
So those poppers, lots of them have worked over the years. Lately, the last 3 or 4 years has been the Taco House feed popper. in the all clear, no color. Let me go grab some of those. You guys check them out there.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Where are you going, Gifford? He's moving too.
He's gonna go see where they're at.
All right, perfect. And I will do some commercials with you all. The Independence with Friedman Adventures, everybody. Don't forget, we sail October the 20th, and we would love to have you on board with us. It's a 5-day trip, $2,250. You can sign up at independencesportfishing.com. Make sure you do it. Opsin Fluorocarbon, www.opsonusa.com. Put in FA at checkout. And finally, promarahi.com. Anything lobster, you'll get 10% off when you enter in Friedman 10. That's spelled Friedman, Friedman, pronounced Friedman 10 when you check out. Sam, oh, these clear colored ones are the hot ticket. Are they still?
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah, still, yeah. We just got some in. They were kind of out of stock all year. There's that 150 size and the 175 size. And the 150 size comes already rigged with some nice heavy duty owner hooks. These are exactly the hooks that I would put on there if you were rigging that up. And it's a 2.0 owner ST66. On these guys here, they don't come with hooks because guys, you know, they say they rig them up with different size hooks. They do come with heavy duty split rings though. So your split rings are good to go. You just got to add your hooks on these. What I would do is put those 3.0 ST66, and these are a lot heavier. This thing right here you can cast with 60 or 80 pound, no problem. This guy here is going to be also something you can cast. Probably wouldn't cast as far, but still pretty dang heavy. It has those casting weights in there, and they do really well. So these are the two main ones, and why they want the clear, I don't know, but the guys who do it a lot, this is the one they use.
Yeah, great. Hey, Carlos, do me a favor. Say hi to Chauncey and Will and whoever's in the galley. I'm not sure who it'll be, but say hi to those guys on the El Patron. We had a really fun time with them. Daniel, Leano, Sam, and Phil, I'm tying on to my knife jig with a 130-pound wind-on leader. Which knot would you use? I would use a San Diego Jam knot. Your thoughts, please.
San Diego Jam Knot's as good as anything.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. There you go. Thank you, Danielle. Tyler, Sam, any idea on when Shimano Talica 50 replacement handles and washer plus cap will be back in stock and available?
Yeah, Tyler, I don't know. I mean, we had those things on order here for a few months already, and when I originally ordered it, they were supposed to have been in the end of August. Now it's the end of September, so we will see when those come through, but unfortunately, I don't have any clear idea when they're coming in exactly. When they do come in, we'll post them up. I'll send Phil a message, and if it's not on,
I'll jam it out there.
yeah, we'll get the word out.
Yeah, perfect. Dan Smith, I like this comment, man. Phil is like an albacore. He needs it cool in the
I
shop.
turned it on for you.
I noticed you did, man.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. It was very nice. You got it like at about 63.5.
Well,
Perfect,
you're
perfect
talking-
albacore.
You're starting to sound a little
I thought I was
off.
going through the change of life
Yeah,
or something,
I think
you know?
the heat was getting to you for sure.
Man, yeah, I thought I was having hot.
That's why the show's getting so much better. You started getting more likes.
Yeah.
It's the AC.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, maybe the carnivore
scaring
diet was
everybody
killing
away.
me finally. Hot flashes. Too much prime rib. Dan, love it, man. That's funny. Okay, I said the A word. Yeah, that's for sure. I haven't given up on that either. I'm telling you,
You haven't?
we're going to get no. Hell no. Hell no. We're going to have a fall bite on Albies here in SoCal. You watch when that water starts to cool down a little bit. Those longfin are going to be in that channel just like they were back in '84.
But are you gonna fish?
I don't know. I shoot a lot of video. That's my job, man.
What was albacore though?
I don't know. I'd have to catch. I'm even going to break down on the Independence, I think,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that 5-day. I've never caught a big bluefin because I'm always filming. I got to get, I'll get my 200-pound
Yeah.
bluefin, and there it is.
There it
Okay,
is.
I'm done. Go back. But
Yeah.
after I got everybody on the boat with a
Everybody else
fish.
caught a
Yeah,
couple
man.
on
I mean, it's my job now. David
It is.
says, you know what would be cool? If maybe during your future seminars show, you can give some demos on knot tying braid to fluoro.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that something more.
Oh,
as a
short we could do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
We
good
gotta kinda set
suggestion,
up the
David.
camera and everything like that.
Yeah. When can we do that, Sam?
Give me a couple years. You gotta think about it.
Tyler says, Scott Dickerson, for your reference, I just respooled my Tranx 500 with 65-pound Power Pro Max Quattro and got 365 yards packed on. Got 340 yards of Power Pro Max Quattro, 50-pound on my Tranx 400.
There you go.
All right. Tim P. Do you buy, sell used rods or reels at your shop?
We do a little bit. We don't have a ton, but we do have some.
All right, very good.
Awesome.
Whoa!
Wow.
DJB, $50.
Man, we
Woo!
got some drinks tonight.
DJB, man, you have no idea how much we deeply appreciate your kindness and generosity. That is
Wow.
awesome, right? That
Biggest
says,
one yet.
I think that's because the show is so great, Sam.
AC.
Oh, it's the AC, yeah. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you and all your loved ones. We really support it. He says, support for the hardest working YouTuber in fishing. Thanks for all you do, Phil and Sam. Thank you,
Got it,
DJ, man. Yeah, I told Sam at one point, I said, I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot of competitors that come out. And the one, you didn't say, don't worry about it. You're so talented. That nobody, you said, no one's going to do all the work you're doing.
No one's that dumb, yeah.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I'm working
right.
You're right. So far, you're right. There's no question. I think you're going to stay right, too. Yeah. Christopher Navarro, Sam, was just talking about coil memory. I totally get it. Andy and Berkeley, big game, come off the spool like a cheap garden hose. Might be good for other applications, but for surface iron, Iser, XXX.
Yeah, that stuff, the easier, straighter it comes off the spool, the better your cast is going to be, the better your bait's going to be. In this case, fishing surface iron, that XXX, man, you can't beat it.
Is it really that good?
Yeah.
That's the one you want to use?
That's the one, for
All
sure,
right.
100%, all the time.
Jeremy said, went down south to Mexican waters and did all right. Jeremy, please
Very good.
expound on that a little bit. We'd be very curious. How far down did you go? Ensenada, Rosarito, Puerto Nuevo for some langosta? We want to know, man. Let us know. All right. Is it Sino One Tone? Hey, Phil and Sam, good evening. And good evening to you, my friend. Phil, what's the word on the trip Wednesday? By the way, this is John G. John, we're leaving, scheduled to leave at 9. I would bring the kitchen sink. There's no question about it. You're going to want to have that light stuff for that daytime plunker kind of bite. Sam mentioned bring 20. I think that's sage advice. He's probably also right that you probably never fish less than 25, or you shouldn't. What I always tell people, John, and we'll see if Sam agrees, get bit on the heaviest line that you can get bit on. And you determine that by your observational skills, by talking to the crew. They were out there the day before. They saw what the fish were biting. They know what the fish have been doing. But pay attention to guys that are getting bit. If you can get bit on 40, 50, 60, do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you're going to have to drop down to that light stuff. So bring that. But the nighttime has been the right time, as evidenced by all the great people who have been chiming in here tonight. So you definitely want to have some 100-pound, 130-pound, and be ready to rock it at night because it's good fishing.
Also, a time of day thing. If you're out, you guys leaving at 9, so you're fishing all night, and you might find that in that early gray fly line is when you can get bit on the heaviest line.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to fly line. It almost seems crazy sometimes because in the daytime they won't bite anything but 20. But in that gray light, early morning, even when it's still almost dark, I'm talking like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30, something like that. Try fly lining a bait. Sometimes that fish is going to kind of start floating a little bit sooner than you think, and you fly line a bait early in the morning on 60 pound or something like that, maybe even 80. You're going to find that that's going to be your best chance at hooking one of those nice big ones, 150 pounder on a fly line on heavy lines. So that's another time of day where if you haven't tried it, maybe you fished all night, caught a couple fish, and want to take a rest, set your alarm for like 4 o'clock, get ready, make sure your gear's good to go, and I'd start fly lining at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Sometimes that's your best time to get bit on heavy line.
All right, good stuff. Hey, where can people find Island Fishing Tqckle? What are your store hours, days, blah, blah, blah?
So we are in the city of Carson. We're at 21809 Avalon Boulevard. We're here 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Phone number is 310-707-1205. And for you guys that are kind of out-of-towners, you can send me a message on any of the social media, Facebook, Instagram, or send me an email at sam@islandfishingtqckle.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam. Balboa Fish Group. Sam, do you have any 30 and 40 gallon bait tanks there?
I do not. No bait tanks for us. Sorry.
Scott Dickinson, Sam, what do you think of the new Fathom 82 speed?
It's been a great reel. You know, like I said, the only thing that I see people doing on those, because it's such a big reel with kind of a medium-sized handle, is that they'll replace the handle with that Tiburon. Tiburon makes a nice, big, heavy-duty handle. But other than that, it's a great reel for the price, for sure.
All right. Omar wants to know what you would use a CalStar 875 extra heavy, bait or jigs?
Yes, both, actually. You know, I have that exact same rod. Mostly I'm using it for bait, 50-pound test. But I've used that rod for jigs lots of times, you know, yo-yo fishing or even fishing the Colt Sniper 50-pound test. That I've definitely used it for both. So, yeah.
Tony wants to know what jigging setup would you recommend, rod and reel?
So, like I was saying earlier, it really depends on your comfortableness with the jigging motion. If you haven't done it a whole lot, you might want to go with the more moderate rod. So if you're looking at the Phoenix rods, they have that 608 Megalodon. They also have the 609 is the heaviest one, but the 608 is really popular because it's kind of more moderate. But you know, you're not going to find more variety of rods than and I should say blanks, than the United Composites. And the United Composites, they have the CXJ line, 6003, 6004, 6005, and then they have their Zeus lines, Zeus 2, 3, and 4, which have been hot sellers. Unfortunately, he doesn't make them in a built rod yet. But if you contact Darren over at 310 Rodworks, he's in Gardena. He's the only guy around that I know of that has those things already made, pre-built, ready to go, and you can call down there and order them up. But that'd be the way I would go.
And he just happens to be one heck of a nice guy.
He's a super nice guy.
Love Darren.
Super nice guy.
All right. Omar says, hey, Sam, any thoughts on the Fishing Syndicate 90J, and is it on the same level as CalStar UC?
I would say definitely closer to a CalStar, hence the name 90J. It was pretty much patterned off of that rod, as far as I understand. But it's more similar to that. It's going to be a heavier, or I should say heavier, a larger butt rod, similar to the 90J, and more moderate action too. I actually have one myself. It's a pretty nice rod, and I think you would like it a lot. As far as on the same level, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to there. But if you were going to compare it to one of the two, I'd compare it more to a CalStar.
All right, Salvador Geronimo says, hey, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Salvador. I have a pinhead seeker with chrome guides. I broke the tip on the rod. Do you carry that type of chrome guide, Sam?
I do carry some of those tips. I'd have to see whether I have that exact size. You know, those chrome guides are kind of not used as much anymore, so I don't carry a huge amount of them, but I do have some. If not, we do carry the insert type guide that is chrome framed, and so in a pinch there we would have that for sure, and that would match it just pretty dang close. But if you want to bring it down, we can kind of see if we have that exact size you need.
All right, Carlos says thanks for the info on the poppers, and he will say hi to the boys on board the El Patron. Scott Bukert is back.
That's the
Does
man.
anybody? Is Travis out there? I mean, Travis could. Do you want to take a guess as to what is? Just if you had to pull something out of the blue, this is hard, almost impossible. What Scott would be saying right now? What would be in his comment if you had to take a guess?
He would be asking about his trip.
Yeah, he'd be.
It's full.
No,
It's not full?
Oh, it's full, Scott.
Oh.
All right, hey folks, don't worry about the Sea Adventure 80. It's full, and the Point Loma. Don't worry about that anymore. All right, Scott says we need a few
What's
more.
Scott's number? Why don't you just tell everybody Scott's number? So
I
they
wish
call him up?
do you think I'd memorize Scott's number? I try to burn it every chance I get. No, I'm kidding. They need a few more to go on the Point Loma, which is a boat that leaves in the morning, comes back in the evening, a full day boat out of Point Loma sport fishing. Scott will be there, and
Is it his charter?
Huh?
Is it his charter?
You know, no, it's not his charter. He
just
works
wants to
on the
go.
boat. No, he works on the boat.
Gotcha,
He's trying to get
gotcha.
a day's work in. What? Maybe Scott,
Free tacos for everybody?
free taco, Scott, or
Something, yeah.
a back and neck massage?
Maybe.
15 minutes?
One or two, one or the other. Back
Yeah,
or neck.
Scott, you pick. All right, so see Scott on deck for your free back massage or taco if you're on the Point Loma this Friday. And also, Scott says we need a few more on the Sea Adventure 80 for a 3-day trip, October 15th through the 18th.
That'd be an awesome trip.
Yeah, that'll be a great trip. Are you kidding? Sea Adventure 80, great ride.
That's a big
Wonderful owners, Mike McDaniels, super great guy. There you go, Scott. Is that good enough? If you need a little bit more, the meal was good tonight, so we'll take good care of you. Sal Garcia, how many years do you think it'll be until everyone has a slow pitch setup or two in their arsenal.
Not too long, you know. This stuff's kind of like gaining a lot of ground really fast. Everyone's a big number, you know, but I would say you're going to see it increase and increase over the years here. The other thing too that I think is going to help it out a lot is going to be in other times of the year or maybe other fisheries where guys start using it more for rock fishing and yellowtail fishing and things like that. I think that's going to be another area too. I know guys are even using it for spotted bay bass. It's kind of a different deal as far as that. We're not using big giant rods, but it's something that's spread into a lot of different parts of our fishery.
Sal, thanks for pointing that out. I think you're right on that. Ricky Hamada. Ricky, great to see you here. Thanks for joining us. He loves the show. Could you give some cliff notes on the new Rockfish rules? The waste generated is ridiculous. So many floaters after releasing them. Also, cowcott. Any chance of a special stamp or limit for cows? Good question, Ricky. Do you know the cliff notes on it?
I don't want to give any bad information, but I know that we're kind of in that
300 and above.
Yeah, we're in that 50 fathom time of year. So definitely you don't want to be in any possession of any kind of ground fish in shallower than 50 fathoms.
You know what now? There's something going on this, and I'm just saying.
Just say it.
Okay, somebody said the other day, that's the end of whitefish and sheepshead. And then Dan in San Diego goes, I'm looking at the regs. There's an exemption for sheepshead and whitefish,
Yes.
those ground fish.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up.
And also
Sculpin.
Sculpin.
Right.
So yeah, so there is exceptions, with the whitefish.
Okay, good. That's all I want to get.
sheephead,
Yeah.
and sculpin, yeah. But even still, you get a 10-inch red or something like that mixed into your catch.
Right.
And you're fishing in that shallower water. You want it off your boat.
Right.
And it's a shame too, because when you catch it, you're going to have to throw it overboard and it isn't going to live. But that's just where it's at right now. So, I mean,
Well, so what about descending devices? I know
I think you're
that's kind of
supposed to-
gone out of vogue, but
Yeah,
that
but
is still a thing,
it's
right?
still a thing. Yeah, you can use one of those. I think there's several companies that make them. You can make your own too. But yeah, that's another one. So I don't know if it's in the regs that way, but yeah.
Now, I was on a boat, this was many, many years ago, and they took a milk crate and they turned it upside down and they put there was like, so you could release 10,
Yeah,
15, 20. And they had it weighted and then they dropped it down. And then when they pulled it up, obviously the fish were free to swim and pursue a life of liberty and happiness. So that, I don't know if you want to do that, but that's something that will help you in terms of multi-really, like a sport boat, probably be wise to be doing that kind of thing. All right, but great points, Ricky. Thank you for joining us. Christopher Navarro, my friend Chris Cabellos is trying to fill a spot in October on the Pacifica. He's going to log on soon. If he doesn't hit the like button, ignore him. Thank you, Chris. We'll definitely do that. He'll get a fight out of Scott Bucher, too. I'll tell you right now. Tyler Tanaka. Sam, any opinion on Seaguar Blue versus Gold and going from 30-pound blue to 30-pound gold, first on picky bite before dropping straight to a lower 25-pound rating?
Yeah, that's a good one there,
It's
Tyler.
a really good question.
Yeah, that gold label has been pretty dang popular, I mean, that 40-pound gold especially, because 40-pound a lot of times seems to be that breaking point to where, like, they're not going to bite 40 at all. You got to fish 25. But that 40-pound fish is like 30, it's super thin. And, of course, the 30 is going to fish like 25. So I probably would go that route first, is definitely go with that 30-pound before you go with the 25 in another line.
All right, DJ B, who threw us a $50 bill tonight. Still can't believe your kindness and generosity. Anything you want, man. Here we go. Charter Master for a 3-day trip on the Pegasus has one spot opening Friday. That's going to go fast. Call the landing to see if it's still open. That would be Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. I will give the Pegasus 100% endorsement. Those guys fish so hard. They've had a great season. Jacob and the rest of the crew on there are absolutely fantastic. Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. They have a trip, a 3-day trip. This is the time to go. You can jump on that by calling Fisherman's Landing.
That's a sleeper boat too, I mean, it doesn't get all the attention that some of these other boats do, but man, those guys are on par with anybody out there as far as finding big fish and a crew that can get them on the boat in a good galley. It's a super nice little boat too.
It is.
Yeah.
I chartered it for years.
Yeah, pretty roomy for the size of boat it is. It's a boat that a lot of guys overlook, but the guys who know, they fish that boat a lot.
low to the water,
Yeah.
nice fishing platform.
Oh, yeah.
Guys work hard. Yeah, that would be a good one. Jeremy says, closer to the Coronado Islands, we got a few rockfish. I sent you a picture on Facebook Messenger. I'll check that out, Jeremy, unless I've already responded to you, but I'll check that out. I get so many messages every day. Sometimes it gets a little bit boggled up there. Angel Reyes, or Angel Reyes, however you want to pronounce it. Phil's got the meat sweats. I think you're right,
Get that,
Angel.
you see, yeah.
But Sam saved me, man. I don't want him to spend any more money. But thank you, Sam. Cesar Hernandez, what's your favorite surf fishing area?
My favorite, probably, just right here, Redondo. I mean, it's the closest to me. Part of surf fishing is supposed to be that it's easy, and for me, that's the closest place that makes it easy, somewhere easy to get to. But I did fish, not Huntington Beach, Manhattan Beach, for a lot of years. I was going down there, and also kind of because it was easy, I knew where to park for free over there, not too far from the water. But even when I had to park in the lot, that lot is right on the water, and there's a bathroom right next to the parking lot. So very convenient if you're getting there and wanted to go hit the restroom. There's even a couple restaurants on the way in, a supermarket, so you can pick up a sandwich or something like that on the way down there, Manhattan Beach. But I mean, that's kind of my stretch.
All right, mine. I love Surfside. I live there, so I just walk out there and I can fish. We have some extraordinary yellowfin croaker bites there. There's some really good spot fin croaker bites different times of the year. There's a lot of halibut down by the jetty. That's a great place. Probably my favorite would be south of the border, down around San Quintin. There's some beaches down there that are extraordinary for barred perch. We've had tremendous barred perch fishing there, and also up at Collinette. Collinette's about 120 miles down the Baja coast, so not too bad of a drive. And then another 20 to get down to Playa Socorro is one that's just when those barred perch are biting in the wintertime. They bite in the winter when the water's cold. Man, it gives you something to do, and it is full speed. When you're on, it depends. It kind of changes, but in that 4-hour window of opportunity, right before the high tide, 2 hours before until 2 hours after you get the incoming and outgoing, man, they are frickin' chewing. Little chrome cast master, you don't need any
Full
bait.
speed.
If you want to fish, go dig up some pismos, full speed, man. 2 hooks, you got 2 going. Big, fun, great fishing down there. So I love those areas. And Sam mentioned Redondo's a great place to catch corvina by the jetty, down by the pier is really good. There's so many great areas and so many places to explore. Love surf fishing, and that's why Sam and I will be putting on some great events, surf fishing wise. Who mentioned that? Andrew.
Tomorrow's the first one.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right. You guys missed it. But we'll let you know when the next one is for sure. Cesar, thanks for asking that great question. Christopher, Chris Cabellon, not Cabellos. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Greg, I think this is our Greg. Sam, you got to come on our Independence
Let's
trip.
do it.
It's Greg Bates.
No, when is it?
Yes. October 20th. You already said you couldn't make it.
can't, no.
Yeah. What do you got going on?
I have got something going on.
Yeah.
I can't remember what.
Wait till I tell the guys on the Independence. Let me tell you.
Check your calendar.
Yeah, and I want to thank Greg Bates because he's a super great guy. He helps make Friedman Adventures the real deal. And for showing up late and holding up the El Patron on Friday,
Oh,
Greg.
that's awesome, Greg.
Thank you so much for all you do. I'm just kidding. He was a little bit late. Just a little bit. I like, little play with Greg. Ken Herbert, does anyone redo, am I allowed to say this?
I don't know, you're going to say it anyway, right?
No, I'm not. Does anyone redo Japanese head trolling feathers? They were referred to, which
yeah.
can be considered a pejorative now. That's why I hesitate to use it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, but
I quit the show.
I'm putting together a shadow box display. I have 5 to 6 antique and different sizes. That's what I need Danny Kadota for. Yeah. He doesn't hold back on all that stuff. He just.
I don't know if there is anybody out here that really does that for a living anymore. But if they're not too beat up, maybe you just leave them kind of as they are. I don't know.
All right, that sounds good to me. No response from Greg Bates. Come on, Greg. I'm baiting here. Mia Var, mucha tuna. Mucha atún. For that. Michael Ferreira. If I'm mispronouncing it, I'm getting a little dingy right now. Okay, perfect. The milk carton works pretty good. Amazon has a release device that I have yet to try was going this weekend, but my kids don't like to fish deep water. Man, I love it, Michael. Do you like it?
It's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
I love it.
Maybe get himself a electric rail or something.
Nah, that's for, I can't say that
Can't say
either.
that either.
Yeah, that's for people that don't like to get exercise.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Doug Rubin from the El Sueño. Hello from San Diego. Lobsters are coming soon. Stay tuned. Let's go. You're right. That's going to be a lot of fun, Doug. No question about that. Omar, I always skunk when fishing bucktails. I usually fish them up and down. Am I fishing them wrong?
Left to right.
Oh, left to right. Hey, I got to bring
Bucktail
some.
jigs. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
No,
I got another.
if you're using them on a double dropper loop for like rock cod, it should be working just fine. I'm not sure if you're using them like, anywhere else. Depends on where you're using them, but good rock cod jig for sure. And I know that up in the Santa Monica Bay, for a lot of years I used that bomber jig. That green kind of one.
Those
for
things are
sand
still
bass.
around? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're still around, but I know I used that one for a
Yeah.
lot of years fishing sand bass.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some squid.
Hey, you're saying left to right and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some guy wrote me a comment. He was dead serious, and maybe it's something I'm not aware of. Maybe you guys know.
So much you're not aware of.
Yeah, I know. On the morning briefing, I always fade into the flag.
Yeah.
And he said, that is very disrespectful, the way that the flag is flying. The flag
yeah.
should always be flying
Yeah.
this way.
East to west or something like that.
Is that
There
a
is something
thing?
to that. Yeah, there is. something to that.
I meant no, is there?
I think there is.
I think
All
there
right,
is,
well,
yeah.
and I want to, if that guy's out there listening tonight, I haven't,
I think more left to right or right to left.
I'm
Yeah.
still using it because I haven't had a chance to go out and shoot it again. And the only reason I'm putting it up there is because I love the country, and so I'll fix that. I promise. So no disrespect intended. Okay. All right. Ahmad, offshore weather looks to be about 20 knots at the banks for next Wednesday. My 3-day fishing. Would you consider that fishable conditions?
Yeah.
What boat are you on? I would say
Yeah.
20 is going to be fine, and that's a long range. You're not talking about this Wednesday, right? You're talking about, I don't know what he's.
I'm not sure what he's talking about, but I mean,
Omar, if you're talking about a week
so-
from now, that can change.
Also, too,
I mean, not Omar.
wind
Ahmad.
isn't constant, so if that's like a 10 to 20 type of thing,
Yeah.
then you're good. If it's 20 to 40, it's going to be kind of rough out there, but depends on which part of that you're on, if you're on the lower side or the upper side.
Halibut man, that is Mitchell. Thanks for taking the time to do this every week, Sam. Thank you.
Got it.
Yes. Michael says, where were these bluefin tuna when I was running my boat out of San Diego and then Morro Bay? No more BFT for this old captain. Thanks to a stroke, Michael. Man, we hope you're feeling better, my friend, and hopefully you're able to get a vicarious thrill out of our shows. And man, we got you in our thoughts and prayers, that is for sure, and appreciate you. I don't know, Michael, the reality is we used to see those things all the time. Remember when we were albacore fishing? We'd see them, and a lot of San Diego captains would go, they're bluefin, drive right by them. So I don't know, but you're right. They were not around in the kind of numbers that we are seeing now. As Sam pointed out earlier on in the show, this is the best fishing we've seen in Southern California history, going back to Zane Grey days and
Yeah.
all that Catalina Island craziness. So it's pretty remarkable, my friend. Feel better. Hopefully you're doing good. Cesar Hernandez, who specializes in wrapping surf rods, if I wanted to get a custom surf rod. Sam, you've got the answer to that.
Nobody. I don't think anybody specializes in specifically surf rods. I don't know if there's too much difference there than building a regular rod. But I think any of the local rod wrappers, there's so many in the area. So depending on where you're at, find someone in your area. I'm pretty sure these guys can wrap up a surf rod, no problem.
Tony wants to know, Sam, are you going to the jig special?
I'm already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. He's there, Tony. Blue skies. Keep flying the flag the way you want to, Phil. Hey, thank you.
There you
I was at a place and I looked up and I go, wow, that looks so beautiful, the flag. So I shot it, and then I had no idea that I was offending somebody, and that is not my intention. But thank you so much, Blue Skies. I think what you're trying to say is that that love the country, and that's why I put that up. All right, Michael, I wish you could put together a trip for disabled folks. I saw the gentleman with the oxygen on your trip and have been wanting to throw that idea out there. It's a great idea, Michael. That is definitely something I will give serious thought to. And that guy with the oxygen tank is going to be on board Wednesday again. Steve, he's a great guy. In fact, Steve, his brother or somebody raises Angus beef. And he had the guy just slaughtered one, and he goes, man, I got two of the most beautiful ribeyes I've ever seen. I'm bringing to you, man.
Wow.
So, carnivore, here we go.
You're on it.
Michael, and if you see that I'm dragging my feet on it, because sometimes I got a few too many balls in the air, hit me again, remind me, and we'll give that a little bit more serious attention. Real time, how big are bluefin tuna out of Oxnard? Footballs? No, they're big.
They're
Yeah,
pretty
no,
big.
I've seen some fish over 100 pounds up there. There's some really nice ones. There are some smaller grade, 20 to 40. I never thought I'd be saying that.
Babies.
Yeah, babies, but there's some big fish up that way also, my friend. Omar, do you have any Phoenix Trifecta Light 903 in stock?
I'll have to check.
You're going to check now or later?
I'm gonna check right now.
You are?
We're almost done.
All right. Yeah, man, we got, no, I'm not even going to say what we got. We're just going to kind of go by it. Independence, October the 20th. Don't miss it, everybody. We'll be on a 5-day trip, $2,250. You can join us by going to Independence, sportfishing.com. That is going to be great. That is going to be a really, really fun trip. Don't forget, if you'd like to follow me on my carnivore diet and learn a little bit more about how you become more healthy, some things out there that I have seen in my travels around the world that I think can help. And by no means is this show, Walk with Phil is the name of the YouTube channel. I would love it if you subscribe tonight. By no means is this some arrogant knucklehead that's going to tell you the best way to do things. It's au contraire. It's really a guy that's made so many mistakes that I can tell you where not to go. And here late in life, before my head hits the table here during a show one of these nights, I think I have some good advice. Walk with Phil. Check it out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. There's a guy, Michael Imone's grandpa. Michael Imone's grandpa started watching what I was doing. He copied it. I think Dan is down 40 pounds.
Jeez.
He's off all his diabetic medicines now. He feels great. He has so much energy. He says he's having no trouble chasing Michael around. He's made a lot of great strides, and his doctor's like, what are you doing? What happened? So check that out. I interviewed Dan. It's a great interview. It's very honest. I'm not trying to sell the carnivore diet. I'm asking what the problems are with it, how it's working for you. Check that out. Walk with Phil on YouTube. Sam, what do you? I
didn't
forgot
have
what.
it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have it. It was.
I even forgot what the hell you went to get.
Yeah, it was a surf rod there. So that means I got to go get some more. Hopefully they got them in stock. If they do, I'll get some more next week.
All right, very good. Kim Herbert, thank you for respecting the flag and the country. It's better to just ask for forgiveness. Yes, forgive me. Tim P., are Phoenix rods made in America or China?
China.
In China, in Shanghai. Who knows,
I'm not
right?
sure where in China, but they're made in China, yeah.
Yeah. Tommy Tarr, Phil is the hardest working man on the water. Love all your shows, Tommy. Really, really appreciate it. It's a labor of love. I honestly, sometimes when I go to bed at night, I'm already thinking morning briefing. I've already taken a lot of notes. I get up early. Sometimes I'll wake up maybe to go to the bathroom or something, and boom, I'll send a text off to the Pegasus, to the Independence, to one of the boys and say, what's up? And then we end up in a half-hour conversation and ruin my night's sleep. But it's a labor of love. Thank you so much, Tommy, for being such a great supporter. Jeremy, who is the carnivore diet guy? Forgot who you said. I like a guy by the name of Dr. Sean Baker. You can find him. I believe he's been on it for 12 years. He's about 60 years old. He's an athlete. He's been eating meat, salt, and water for 12 years. Another guy who's a conservative pundit. His name is, oh man, I forgot his name. He's been on it for 5 years. Maybe I'll remember by the end of the show, but he's another guy who changed his health, changed his life. So there you go. Good stuff. Dr. Sean Baker, though, find him on YouTube, and He will go through all the medical stuff with you, and he is really, really good. All right. I'm in on a disabled trip, says Joseph Chavez. We got to do this, man. Definitely.
You should.
Yeah, definitely. Sam and I are going to talk about this at the conclusion of the show. Not kidding around. Keep reminding us. We definitely need you to do that. Cesar Hernandez, do you need to use light line in order to catch corvina?
Generally, yes. Yeah, 4-pound test about the max. A lot of the guys who are hardcore, they're using 2-pound tests in the surf, almost like you're trout fishing. But I'd say 4-pound test is probably the most common size.
I've seen them bite.
Fluorocarbon even.
I've seen them bite heavier, but you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, that is definitely true. Tyler is back with us. Tyler Tanaka, Turbo 2. Phil, Armed Forces flag patches on soldiers right should face backwards to always show the flag blowing in the proper direction of the into the wind. Not sure your intro is disrespectful. Thank you. As you know, I didn't mean to do that, and I'm glad to get this feedback so I can learn something. I'm going to switch that around at some point in time. Michael says, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Tight lines. Michael, thank you. Omar, thanks for all the great info. Have a great night, gents. Jeremy, found him and just subscribed to Dr. Baker and your walk with Phil. Jeremy, I really appreciate that, my friend. I like that guy. He's a smart guy. I mean, you know, when you say carnivore diet, people start rolling their eyes and like, oh, you don't eat any vegetables, no fruit, no fiber, and they're like, you're freaking nuts. But you listen to this guy, and there's a whole bunch of other guys, and it'll make sense. By the way, Tyler's right. It's Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's been on that very same diet. His daughter was so sick with so many different types of, I think, psoriasis and autoimmune disease, and she finally ended up on the carnivore diet, cured her. He said, well, I'm going to try it too. He had problems with depression, cured all of that. I'm just taking you for the ride now. You can make your own decision, but that's some of the stuff we'll be discussing over there on Walk with Phil. Tommy Tarr. Where did Tommy go? Oh, there he is. Oh, he retracted his message. MJM, that's Mark. Haven't heard from Mark for a while. Hey, Phil and Sam, just subscribe to Walk with Phil. 5 years ago, I was 375 pounds, size 38 pants. Man, I'm feeling good because I'm a 38 right now. No. Today, I'm 180 pounds, 32. I support you, Phil. Man, Mark, I had no idea you had done so great. I got a ton of messages on this kind of stuff, so that prompted me to do it. Sam, I don't see any more messages up there. We're almost 2 hours into this. Carne asada tacos. Yeah, blue skies. You just got to take the tortilla and chuck it, eat everything inside. You'll be good with that. What do you say? We wrap this one up?
Good, yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you give this great store my second home now. I know that if I get kicked out of Surfside, I can come here and, sleep on the floor or, you got a nice place here.
Low mattress.
Yeah, just show me how to turn the air conditioning on,
Yeah.
and I'll be good. I'll let Sam say goodbye. Should I read a couple more here?
Go for it.
Kim Herbert helped a blind fisherman go out on a 3/4-day trip. I just had to direct and tell them to whine. Great blessing. Yeah, Kim, and I'm sure as much as it meant to the man that you helped or the woman that you helped, it meant even more to you. I know exactly the feeling. Richard, hey, Sam, Phil, do you guys have any superstition or something you do to shed the skunk funk?
What's that? Skunk funk. No. Just got to keep going, man. I mean, that's a tough one when you get into a kind of a rut. Sometimes you just got to kind of keep going, and eventually you'll swing out of it. Maybe go on a trip that, I don't know, the fishing maybe is a little bit better and kind of get your confidence back, but a lot of it's in your head, and you just got to keep going, and you'll shake it.
Yeah, I agree with Sam. I don't really have any superstitions on that. I used to hear all the time, like Rick Evinger, I remember him, he runs Marina Del Rey. He told me, man, don't ever mess with a mola, sunfish.
Yeah.
Bad luck will befall you. The Pursuit messed with one. This is a long time ago out of Redondo. The Pursuit messed with one. I don't know what that meant. And they blew 2 engines coming home. Just got them right away. So, yeah, I don't have any of those, but there's some good superstitions floating around. Come have a free meal at my restaurant in Sherman Oaks when you're in town. That is Shanit, is it? Shaint? I'm there, man.
Sarkisian.
Yeah.
We're headed there right now, aren't we?
Yeah, where you at, man? We're hungry.
Yeah, Tony.
That is really kind of you. I'll come out there and do a walk with Phil video, man. Do you have carnivore stuff out there?
Sure
Hey,
does.
thanks, man. That's very kind. Sam, I'll turn it over to you
All right.
and let you wind it up.
Well,
as
thanks
I squeeze
everybody
by
once
you.
more here. If you guys want to get a hold of us, we're at 21809 Avalon Boulevard in the city of Carson. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. Phone number is 310-707-1205. And you can reach me Facebook or Instagram or send me an email at sam@islandfishingtqckle.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Monday. Or are we working on that?
Most likely Monday.
Monday for another great edition of Tackle Shop Confessions. Take care. Have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early for the morning briefing. Take care, my friends.
Good show, guys.
Thank you.